And I think we are live. Yeah, so the topics we're going to do today, first one I want to start out with is the Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia is confirmed for November 21st. I think this is a pretty good fight to get. I don't know if I want it for pay-per-view, but, I think at this point they've built Errol Spence as a pay-per-view star, unless he has like a really bad mandatory that won't draw. I think all of his fights are going to be pay-per-view from now on. Hopefully, it does good pay-per-view, especially with the situation we're in right now. But just not even talking about the pay-per-view aspect. I think this will be a good fight in terms of the actual matchup because neither of these guys are really movers. I think they're going to be kind of there to hit. So in terms of entertainment. And then also we'll get to see how Errol Spence is after the car accident, and we'll also see if Danny Garcia has still got it because we've been hearing a lot of talks of people considering him a second-tier welterweight or a gatekeeper welterweight. I just want to know, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think it's bullshit. He's not a second tier welterweight because then he wouldn't be where he's at, right? Or we wouldn't be talking about him right now. You know what I mean? Because right now, top tier welterweights are who they are. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, my thing is the fight. It's coming up. We already seen what Danny has brought to the table in the last couple fights. And we've seen how Errol Spence did with Porter and everything, and before that, against Lamont. And so the perception is right that Spence is healthy in there. Uh, Danny can't get to him; he's too slow. Earl's gonna get him out of there easy, right? I think that's the consensus.
You think he
But
gets him out of there?
if 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 I said if he gets in there healthy, right? If it's a healthy Spence, but that's if.
Mm-hmm.
If he's healthy, if he's that old, that old Spence that's destroyed to the body and that good body work, I think you can get Danny out of there. But I mean, hey, who's to say that Danny catches him with that, look, that hook,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, right.
You see how, and then we don't know. No, this is a car accident. This is this guy. He flipped over. This is it's a serious thing. You know what I mean? That happened. A traumatic injury. Only time
Yeah.
will tell. He's just been. You can see him all day on the pads and stuff like that. But has he sparred and stuff? I don't know. I haven't seen anything. Has anybody else? I don't know.
He wasn't sparring in April for sure because he had that interview where he came out and said that he had posts in his mouth and that he can't spar while he has them, but that once they're out, he should be able to. So, at the absolute max, he's been sparring for 2 months, right?
If they're putting him in the ring without having sparred, then that's a very bad thing. Very bad thing.
Yeah. Really quick, let me shout outs to the chat. Sporting Advantage, what's up? Tommy Temper, L Dogger on the panel. We got, let me scroll down a little bit. We got this conversation, Sporting Advantage. I get this smoke, black and brown. SSB28, what's up, guys? Thanks for coming. All right, so did you guys hear what we're kind of talking about?
The Danny Garcia Errol Spence fight.
Yeah, we are. What's your thoughts on that?
Man, first of all, shout out to the PBC, man. You guys are really putting on some great fights. I mean, to be honest, they always put on the best fights, or they have done. They have put on the best fights in the welterweight couple of years, but there's another good fight. It's not the fight I want to see at that division, but it's definitely one of them. So, shout out to the PBC. I think it's a solid fight, man, because in my opinion, Danny Garcia really is an undefeated fighter. I thought he beat both Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. So, this is definitely a great fight.
Yeah? All right, that's great, man. Who do you think wins?
Oh, man, Danny Garcia.
Danny Garcia. Okay, great. Well, why?
Left hook. I actually think Danny Garcia will win this, man. Left hook.
Left hook, okay, like a counter, or he's just gonna throw a left hook, and does that have anything to do with the accident or no?
No, I mean, listen, man, he got savage mode. We know that he got savage mode. So, Errol Spence got savage mode as well, but uh, I just think personally, Danny Garcia really should be pound for pound number one, but we ain't gonna trip on that,
No, okay.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. I got
On a serious note, good fight. I want to see how Errol looks after the car accident. If you Danny in his last fight, I wouldn't say he struggled with red catch, but he left a lot to be desired. I wanted him to knock red catch out. He couldn't do that. That being said, he still got 12 rounds in against the southpaw, so that should help him coming into this fight. Errol Spence, good fighter. I expect him to beat Danny on points, maybe drop him late.
Yeah, I'm picking. If we get the Spence that we did previously, I'm picking Spence to win a comprehensive, clear decision. The reason why I'd say Danny is a second-tier welterweight is because I thought it was relatively conclusive loss against Porter, who's sort of in the middle, and I thought he clearly lost like 9-3, 8-4 against Keith Thurman. I didn't think that fight was particularly that close. And Spence, before the injuries, used his jab quite a bit more against Porter. Danny Garcia is not a come-forward fighter. He sits in the pocket or he steps on the back foot. He's pretty busy. I think if he maintains a high work rate from the outside, but is able to also fight him inside, because I saw clips of Danny against Thurman, and Thurman's not an inside fighter at all, but when he had him on the inside, he would not let his left hand go when it was open. So I think Spence can bully him and beat him from the outside. But at mid-range, Danny's going to pose a threat. And if Spence isn't in immaculate condition, he could possibly get knocked out. I'm going to pick Spence, however, by unanimous decision.
Okay. Do you guys think that Errol Spence's skill set plays into Danny Garcia's? Because as we've seen with Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, these are guys who are able to use lateral movement and actually fight on the back foot, which is kind of weird to hear about Sean Porter. But we saw that versus Danny, and we saw that versus Ugas, although I feel like we saw it more versus Ugas, and I actually felt that Porter was outboxing Errol Spence in a lot of spots in their fight, which is why it was so close in my opinion. But do you guys think that because Errol Spence doesn't really fight on the back foot, we've only seen him do that against Mikey Garcia, do you think that will play into Danny Garcia's style? And do you think if he gets a win, he will receive full credit, or that he should receive full credit?
Well, you got it from things. He fought on the back foot against Kell Brook.
Well, they're mostly going at each other's throats. It was mainly because Kell Brook was just out muscling him at times.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because he was actually fighting off the back foot intentionally.
At times he was out muscling Spence. Sean Porter was out muscling Spence in there at times.
I think some aspects of Spence's game play into Danny's hands. However, I think Spence's activity and work rate doesn't play into Danny's hands. It goes way against him because Danny's not an active fighter at all. Danny has short arms, so if Spence uses his jab, a lot of his hooks are going to fall short if he attempts them.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. For me, if Errol Spence comes back maybe slightly rusty or diminished, possibly due to the car accident, I can actually see Danny Garcia having a lot of success at mid-range. It's just I wonder how he's going to do versus a southpaw. Like L-Dog mentioned earlier, I don't think he did a great job versus Redcack, otherwise he would have taken him out of there. But at least he got some rounds in with a southpaw, right? And of varying level. Definitely Errol Spence is much better than Ivan Redcack, but I think the main point is, do you guys think that his left hook and counters will be effective against a southpaw? Because from what I noticed with left hooks and southpaws, it's not a universal thing. It's more dependent on what their guard is. If they walk around with a high guard or with their hands like earmuffs, the left hook is far less effective. Whereas if they have a probing style where they kind of had their hands out to where they leave their hands out like close to mid range so that they can parry incoming shots, then you see the left hook having more success, right? So do you guys think that his counters will present trouble for Spence, or do you think this will be convincing beatdown? Like, not how do you think the rounds are going to go or how they're going to be scored, but how do you think the rounds are going to actually go?
Well, as far as the left hook thing, the main thing with left hooks that southpaws struggle with is if they move to their right outside of the jab, they're open for the left hook. So that's one aspect, and the other reason why their left hook may not be as effective is if they cover their chin with either their shoulders or their guard, but mainly their chin. Spence is probably going to be walking straight in a lot of the time. He doesn't use a lot of angles. He a lot of the time lets his opponent walk to him, and they just basically trades with them. But I think the round should go like in the early rounds. In the middle rounds, I think Danny should have most of his success because that's when he'll start timing Spence. Spence is going to sort of try to figure out how to, I guess, keep Danny at range or maybe try to find a way inside of him. But I think the early rounds will go to Spence because he's going to be more active. The middle rounds is where Danny's going to start to hit him with shots. He might stun him a bit. I think he's going to catch him with left to the temple. He has a solid right hand. I think he'll catch him down the pipe a few times. But late, Spence will start to come back because that's honestly when Spence is at his best. Those last two rounds are where Spence really starts to come on. That's where Spence's sort of determination shows and conditioning. And Danny Garcia, if you guys noticed against Sean Porter, he kind of stopped fighting in those last two rounds, and Porter just clearly won those last two, and I ended up winning him the fight in my opinion. So I think Spence is going to come on late. Danny isn't, but I think Spence is going to take the early rounds as well. And Danny's only real chance is if he gets him out of there in the middle rounds. I don't see him winning a decision against Spence. Honestly, the best name he's beat at welterweight is Robert Guerrero, and I just don't see it.
Spence is the A side, and he has considerable more upside to his career. I mean, they're essentially grooming Spence to be a pay-per-view star, and I mean, at this point, if he can break over 300,000 again against Danny, which I expect him to, then yeah, he deserves to be called a pay-per-view star. But look, you make some great points, intangible, but you're forgetting something. Southpaws are actually at a disadvantage against orthodox fighters because the liver is there to be hit with the left hook. Now, Danny Garcia has a great left hook, and I think if he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to work that liver. He's going to have to hit that liver shot with the left hook to the body of Errol Spence to slow him down, especially if he's coming off a layoff, Usually guys aren't at their best in terms of stamina when they're coming off a layoff. So hit him with that left hook to the body, break him down. That would be my suggestion. I think Danny Garcia will actually have quite a bit of success with that because Errol Spence likes to stand there and trade in the pocket. Danny Garcia got to hit that left hook to the body.
So the only issue I see there is if they're in the pocket, orthodox versus southpaw. I think that he could just kind of push his right shoulder into Danny's chest, and I think that would kind of smother any power that his left hook could handle. And as we know, Errol Spence is a great body puncher in his own regard. So do you think Danny Garcia can not risk going to the body at all, but do you think he can make a game plan around going to the body, knowing that defensively, I mean, he's got a good chin, but I wouldn't say he's that defensively,
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Danny Garcia, like I said, is not an inside fighter and doesn't let his left hand go on the inside. He knocks guys out stepping in on them. If Spence is on the inside, Danny's not going to let that left hand go. So he's going to have to throw a lot of left hooks at mid-range and when Spence is trying to work his way inside. However, Spence's reach is just too big. He's got too much of a frame, in my opinion, for him to just be able to get all the power he needs and all the leverage he needs into those lefts.
So you're saying
good
that he
point.
won't be able to fire it off into close range then?
No, that's not what he does. It's not how he works.
I mean, I can't even remember the last time I've actually watched any.
Well, another thing though
years
is I
ago.
understand stamina is more relevant in this case, but when has Spence been hurt to the body?
Well, that would beg the question: how many times have people gone to the body? And I would say Sean Porter did well to the body.
Exactly. That's the thing. He might not have been hurt to the body, but you still got to try that, because a liver shot is unlike a regular body shot. If someone hits you hard in the liver, it pretty much turns your body off. Like your body
Yeah,
just can't handle it. And I'm saying his liver is right there to be hit because, southpaw always has that disadvantage. Danny Garcia got a good left hook. He's got to hit it, man. He's got to go for that left hook to the liver. Because I think later on is at his best because Errol Spence, look, whatever Errol Spence and the Charlos do in training it works extremely well for conditioning because those guys, they come in fight shape.
yeah. Now look, I honestly pray Danny Garcia just gets knocked out in 3 rounds. I honestly want him to get hit with a liver shot, and I just want to see. I just have that visualization of him just screaming on the canvas and DSG just. Anyways,
Yo, man, why you hating on Danny Garcia, bruh?
To be honest, I don't even really care who wins this fight. I'm not a fan of Spence or Danny Garcia.
I
I
think
mean,
it would
I
be
enjoy watching them
interesting
fight,
if Danny won, but I think at this point Spence is building a nice resume. It's gonna look better and better if he has more fights like these. I know Intangible considers Danny Garcia a second tier welterweight, but where would you guys actually rank him generally at welterweight? Would you say he's top 5, fringe top 5? Is he barely top 10? Like, where would you guys place him?
well, he's
He's
not
not in
better
my
than any
top
of the
5.
champions. He's not better than Sean Porter. He's number 5.
So you would rate him
Nah, I
below
don't have
Keith
him number
Thurman?
5. Keith
Yeah.
Thurman is higher. Keith Thurman and Sean Porter deserve to be ranked higher. For
Well,
me
yeah.
personally, my top 5 is 1 Manny Pacquiao, 2 Errol Spence, 3 Terence Crawford, 4 I think I have Sean Porter, then 5 Keith Thurman, and after that I'm gonna have to just quickly look at BoxRec, but
Would you say where would you put your Denis Ugas, for example? Would you put him above or
that's what
below?
I'm thinking, bro. I'm
I'll
thinking
put him at
Uga.
7. I'd put Danny Garcia at 6, Keith at 5, Porter at 4, Crawford at 3, Pacquiao at 2, and number 1 Spence. Number 8, 9, and 10 are for Lipinets or a couple other guys probably. Maybe Virgil Ortiz enters his name in there.
Yeah,
Hey, but I'm gonna say this, man. Lately, bro, boxing is a "what have you done for me lately" kind of sport.
yeah.
Lately, Danny Garcia's been inactive, and he hasn't looked the best. I mean, his most notable fights at welterweight are ones he lost. Let's just be real here. And the guy he beat to win a world title, I forget who it was. Was it Samuel Vargas
Robert
or
Guerrero.
someone?
Robert Guerrero, yeah.
Bro, bro, exactly. I mean,
He has not beat a single top 10 welterweight at the time he
he
fought him.
is a second tier welterweight, but I mean, you have to consider the losses that Ugas has, Marimam. So look, me
Well, those
personally,
are at
I'll put
140.
I'll put Danny Garcia at 6 at welterweight. But I mean, look, if him and Ugas were to fight, that'd be a damn good fight, actually.
No, it wouldn't. That fight would be horrendous. They would just be sitting in front of each other, waiting for each other to lead. It would be a horrendous snooze fest. I do not want to ever see that fight.
Yeah, I think it would be a good fight in terms of
What their caliber is.
yeah, but I think that fight would see a lot of inactivity, to be honest, just in random spots. One thing I do like about this fight is Danny Garcia. Well, he doesn't slug it out on the inside. He'll work from mid range to the inside for a little bit, and then he'll reset back to the outside range / mid range. But I wouldn't necessarily say he doesn't throw left hooks when he's fighting on the inside. He doesn't throw tight left hooks like he's not
Yeah, he
trying to
doesn't shorten up his punches that well.
no, but he will bring them kind of around where they won't see from their perspective and loop them to hit them in their temple. So
That's typically though when they're stepping back.
yeah, which I would argue that Spence
Hey,
does that.
Yeah, I think he does.
So
I think his best chance is going to be landing a left hook as Spence is going to push off of his chest. Like as soon as he pushes off of his chest and pushes back to sort of step back outside and then try to keep him at the end of his jab. Yeah, actually, who knows? Spence might actually box him because the main kryptonite for Danny Garcia is that his kryptonite is movers. He does not like movement at all. The one reason he beat Amir Khan is because Amir Khan is not an intelligent fighter. He decided to slug it out with Danny. Other than that, he was just getting obliterated the first two rounds, rather. And, Keith Thurman, even though Keith Thurman wasn't using a ton of movement, he was actually trying to slug it out in many cases. He was giving him a ton of issues. Ashley Theophane was able to outbox him in spots. I mean, that's his main issue. If Spence is able to work from the outside, he could find success, and that may be his game plan.
Yeah, I mean that's another option. But Angel, you wanted to say something?
So I was gonna say, let's say Danny does lose, right? He loses this fight. He's a B-level opponent. He's a stepping stone, right? Right after this.
Depends on what the fashion is that he loses. If he loses by a really close decision, then
if he gets crumbled, we're talking about the way we're talking about the way it seems. Hold on, the way it seems, then we're talking about Dan's gonna get crumbled, right? Maybe later rounds.
He gets Amir Khan, you're saying,
or no mas, maybe. So if he loses like that, say hypothetically speaking, say if he loses like that, his next opponent after that, would it be Kell Brook? Or would it be the winner of Zoo and Horn?
Who,
Danny Garcia?
Yeah.
He won't move up.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, those guys are at middleweight.
Do they feed Danny if he does stick around, does that fight get made between the winner of Zoo and Horn?
You know what, though? I do think it's possible Danny could move up. If you look at his Instagram, that dude blows up in weight. Like, that dude is fat in between camp. I don't blame him, though. But, I think he could move up after this fight. He could face Tim Tszyu versus Jeff Horn winner, but I don't see that.
The winner
but if he loses this fight, there's not really much work for Danny Garcia to do at the weight. I mean, he turned down a Crawford fight. He's already fought Thurman Porter. Fight Pacquiao afterwards. Pacquiao will probably be retired. I don't know. Because there's just not much else for him to do there. I think he might move up and fight Brook.
That is a legitimate possibility. I know he said that he might want to go through 154, but I wouldn't really consider him losing to a champion, losing in a championship fight versus a former champion, and then losing to a unified champion. To me, my only issue with people calling Danny Garcia a second-tier welterweight is if you ask them about Derevianchenko, whose best win is probably Jack Holke, they'll say he's a top 5 middleweight, and that some of them might even favor to beat Jermall Charlo, right? And his 2 biggest fights he's lost. So then how can we say both of those were for one belt? Similar
because he didn't lose one of those.
Actually, he lost to another champion, and then he lost to a former champion, and then if he loses here, it would be to a unified champion, right?
It really depends on what I think you could still make an argument for Danny still being second tier, but Derevianchenko being first tier at middleweight. It really depends on who. If you consider your opinion on who won the fights that they lost, you can make an argument that way. If you think that Golovkin lost to Derevyanchenko, you could say that Derevyanchenko is a top tier, or middleweight. And and even if you think Danny Garcia is a top tier welterweight, if you think he beat somebody like if you think he beat Porter, I mean, yeah, fine, go ahead, put him there.
Yeah. So would you say the safest place for him to be considered is like, just like middle top 10? I don't think anyone has
He's a
top 4,
contender.
and I don't think anyone has him between 8 through 10, right?
Actually, JFL has him like probably number 1.
I meant the consensus.
But yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't say the guy's a gatekeeper, like some people are saying, but to
Danny
me,
Garcia is in no way a gatekeeper.
A
Danny
gatekeeper
Garcia
is like a
is
Derek
second to
Chisora.
none. Yeah, a gatekeeper's a fringe contender. I wouldn't even consider Kavaliauskas a gatekeeper, honestly.
He hasn't lost to enough people. Like Ray Robinson might even be a gatekeeper.
I would even consider him not a gatekeeper because those 2 fights I didn't feel he lost those, and the only fight that he did lose convincingly, right, would be the Ugas, and I consider Ugas a top welterweight.
But I mean, he's not beating these guys either, and they always seem to go on to bigger and better things after fighting him.
You saying Ray Robinson?
Yeah.
Well, Kavaliauskas got a majority decision draw where 2 judges felt a draw and 1 felt Ray Robinson won, and then he was made mandatory. And then Josh Kelly, he hasn't gone on to do anything bigger, and I thought he should have definitely won that fight.
Man, in my opinion, Josh Kelly is actually a damn good fighter, bro.
Are you serious, man?
In my opinion, Josh Kelly versus Virgil Ortiz will one day be a big fight.
I think that ends in Josh Kelly on the floor.
Josh Kelly looks at himself every day in the mirror, trying to just replicate all of Floyd Mayweather's moves. Every single day, 24/7, 365. Just looks in the mirror, envisions himself as Floyd Mayweather, and he just tries that Philly shell up and down, side to side.
I'll tell you guys this. If Danny Garcia loses to Spence, I would actually like to see him face a prospect.
Yeah, I think a fight between he and Virgil after Virgil, maybe Virgil can take out the trash after Avanesian versus Kelly. Maybe he could fight a guy like Kavaliauskas. After Virgil's next fight, I think Danny versus Virgil will be the fight to make. And I think Danny could go from this fight straight to Virgil because we all know Danny fights once a year, if that. So, you know, he's not going to fight twice a year in most cases. And usually after losses, when it comes to fighters on the PBC stable, generally for this era, but more so on the PBC stable, I mean, looking at guys who lose fights, they usually go a long time before they fight. Sean Porter didn't have any fight talks before COVID happened, and he's gone on a year without fighting. Sean Porter didn't fight until April of the following year. You know, they tend to go a long time without fighting after they lose.
Yeah, I think that's.
What about
good.
Luis Ortiz?
Man. He went right back into the gym working on those elite level wins.
He fought
Luis Ortiz. I mean, look at Luis Ortiz right now. He lost to Wilder in November. He's been in no fight talk since. Look, he went straight from Wilder to, was it Travis Kaufman? Did he fight Travis Kaufman afterwards?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was Travis Kaufman, not Rasvan Kajanu. So yeah, he fought him straight after Wilder. You know, that's pretty quick. But I mean, that's one guy.
He did fight both, but I don't remember what order.
Like after Wilder loses to Fury in the third fight, I think he's going to retire. Honestly.
Wilder, it's possible. To me, I'm not even. I predict Fury to win, and I'm not saying Wilder should retire because I don't think he'd be competitive or that he can't beat other heavyweights. But I think at this point he would have his money. He's already sustained multiple injuries. He's not old, but he would be getting up there in age combined with being injury prone. I think at that point it would be no one would blame him for retiring. That's not true. A lot of people would blame him for retiring, but I think it's reasonable that he retires. I think that blame would be unwarranted. I just checked. I just checked. He fought Razvan Kajani 4 months after the Wilder loss. Then 5 months after that, Kaufman. Then 3 months after that, Christian Hammer. And then he fought Deontay Wilder 8 months later, and that fight was in November, and it's now July.
Well, I mean, looking at Deontay Wilder, I mean, look at what he sustained. The guy was supposedly, allegedly, 2 punches away from dying. Let's see, what else? Well, yeah, in all seriousness, though, he sustained cuts in his ear. He sustained injuries in the Fury fight, I would assume. He also shattered his hand against Chris Arreola, I mean, really badly.
Yeah, he also has had several bicep injuries.
Yes, and elbow injuries. He's broken his elbow before, I believe, as well. Yeah, you know, I think Wilder is he sustained a lot of damage because all of his fights are just wars until he stops them, except for the Ortiz fights. But yeah, back to the subject at hand. Spence is going to beat Danny Garcia. It is what it is. Deal with it. Put up with it. It is what it is.
Long conclusion.
Yeah, I'm just really hoping Spence wins that fight. That's it, honestly.
I mean, I'd say Spence is the favorite, but I'm not going to say what's his name has no chance.
Danny Garcia, I agree with that. I think he definitely has a chance in this fight. There's a lot of uncertainty, so, you know, while I definitely am hoping Spence pulls it out, I have to admit Danny has a chance in this fight because I'm just so unsure about many things, but I'm just going to go off the Spence I've seen.
Yeah, it's kind of tough for me to make an accurate prediction for this because Spence could really just show up like complete garbage, and I don't know how much of us would be surprised, or he could be back in fighting form, which I think more of us would be surprised. But regardless, I do see a lot of people thinking Spence will win. A lot of people considering him the top welterweight. Danny Garcia being somewhere between 5 through 8, right? So I think it's a good win for Spence. But I wouldn't be entirely shocked if Danny Garcia were to pull this off, just because I do think he has come up slightly short in his top fights at welterweight. There's some questions about Danny Garcia as well, which I think is what makes this fight so interesting. Is we have questions about both Errol Spence's ability to fight at the top level and Danny Garcia's ability, but it's for it's a unified title match. You know what I mean? So, I mean, really, the last competitive fight Danny Garcia's had was in late 2018. So it's been essentially 2 years since he's been in a real fight.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping they're both in training camp, staying fit. I don't know if they are, but I think it'll be interesting just because their styles and where they are in their careers right now.
Who knows? Maybe Danny is not the same fighter. Danny may be past his prime, honestly, because the guy's fought once. The guy's fought once a year the last 3 or so years. He hasn't had any good victories since Devin Alexander. You know, the guy, well, Lamont Peterson, I guess, as well, but that fight, I honestly had Peterson winning.
Wait, who?
I mean, the last really great victory he had was Devin Alexander.
Are you talking about Danny?
Oh, I confused him with Amir Khan for a second.
Okay.
I'm stupid.
No, you're fine.
I'll just go with, I don't even remember what his last good victory.
Matisse as well.
His last great victory was Lucas Matisse in September of 2013 on the undercard of Mayweather Canelo.
See, the issue is I don't think fighters are necessarily defined by just their WL on their box rec, right? To me, his performances against Porter and Thurman were commendable enough where I felt he was worthy. You know what I mean?
He belonged in the ring with him.
Guerrero, I know people like to say that, but Guerrero's not bad at all. Samuel Vargas, I would say at that point he wasn't. He'd only lost to who was it?
Guerrero had lost to Keith Thurman.
Anyways, he's not fantastic. He's not that bad though, right?
Guerrero had lost to Keith Thurman by that point. He lost to Keith Thurman the previous year. He lost to
right.
Floyd Mayweather. Lost
Guerrero,
to
yes.
Orlando Toledo.
Yo,
Let's talk about Samuel Vargas that lost to Spence and one other guy.
yo.
Thurman was undefeated. Brandon Rios. I feel like they're more like names. I don't know how fair it is. Ivan Redkach has definitely been real weak, and then Adrian Granados was not competitive. He just kind of destroyed him.
Yeah, he did. That fight was.
First person to stop Granados, so that's something, right? I
Yeah.
don't want to say he's out of his prime because I feel like that would take away credit from Spence if he does beat him.
Oh, I don't think it necessarily takes credit away from Spence. I feel like he's I feel like he's still sort of on the same tier he was at welterweight, but I think he's seen his best days in his career. I don't think he'll ever return to what he once was. That's kind of what I'm saying. I don't think 147 is his prime weight class. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Okay. Did L Dog have to peace out? I guess.
He left, so I guess so.
Yeah.
Peace, L Dog.
Yeah, peace, man. Andrew, you got any thoughts before? I think we're gonna move on soon. I can't think of anything else.
I don't think there's much more. Oh, what would Spence do? So if Spence wins, who should he fight afterwards? And if he loses, what's next for him?
Well, we can go back to that later because the next topic it's still about welterweights, so we're not really gonna be changing. We're just kind of shifting gears. We're not gonna be changing entire subjects. It's about Crawford and Pacquiao. I think that affects it greatly. Oh, he disconnected. And he's back. You good?
I accidentally turned on my camera, but I shut it off on this computer.
It didn't show, so you just left as soon as that happened.
I don't have a camera installed on this computer, so if I click it, everything just disconnects. I was trying to mute myself. So, yeah, Crawford versus Pacquiao set for November, or is it just talks?
Okay. Let's move on. That's the rumor. So Bob Arum is seeking to set up Crawford versus Pacquiao for late November, November 11th or 18th, something like that. Late November. Essentially, the part that's kind of weird to me is this is right around when Spence is already confirmed to be fighting. He said 14th or 21st. So the same day as Spence or the week before, which is interesting to me. That's the date they're targeting, and Bob Arum is claiming that they want to or have been talking to Manny Pacquiao's team and representatives about a potential clash between those two. To me, as much as I would love for this fight to happen, I don't think it happens. If they don't have money to make that fight, I mean Pacquiao Crawford, that's gonna be a big. You're gonna need to pay them a lot, right? There's gonna be a lot of promotion. That's probably gonna be pay-per-view. No, sorry, that is pay-per-view. Factually, if Pacquiao versus Broner is pay-per-view, this fight is pay-per-view. So is this just Bob Arum trying to kind of clout chase Manny Pacquiao, or is this a legitimate thing that we can have some optimism towards?
Well, the way I see it, I believe that it's kind of just, I wouldn't even say probably clout chasing off Pacquiao's name since, well, he left Bob Arum and he's bigger than, this, from what I've seen, is just talks, or was just some people making rumors about it. I don't know who reported on it first. I think it was Michael Benson. However, Bob Arum actually since denounced those. He stated that he had reached out to investors, but people stating that, the fight was near agreement was pretty much nonsensical, and that the fight wasn't really close to being agreed upon. And I don't think he'd lie about that. Right? So I don't see this fight happening next. I think Crawford will probably, I really don't know who he's going to face. I've just given up on it entirely. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I'm hearing Ray Robinson, which I don't know if you know, but I think Virgil Ortiz's team reached out to have a Ray Robinson clash on the zone, and the immediate response, as in the first response given, was that that fight is not main event worthy, which is kind of weird to me considering they had. Let me just read that really quick. Sorry. Just kind of strange to me considering they had Samuel Vargas and Virgil Ortiz, right? I think Ray Robinson is better at this stage in his career, despite his last 3 fights and just what it looks like on paper. They're talking about Ray Robinson for Crawford, and to me, that's like a big step. I don't want to say step down, but that's not really the types of opponents he should be facing at this juncture in his career. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at this juncture. With Crawford, I've sort of given up on him. I don't really think Bob wants to make any fight besides the Spence fight, but that's off the table. He's not. Those two parties are not going to agree to do a co-promotion and spend like that, or be willing to give up an asset, unless it's for an even greater prize. And the only way they can really do that is if they put Crawford in with Pacquiao or Spence. Hence why those are the only two guys that they're in talks with. However, with the Pacquiao thing, it seems like it's actually sort of started to fall apart. So
I feel like I don't even know if it started to fall apart or if it ever existed. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, based on what it originally was viewed as by fans, people saw it as a potentiality, and now that Arum has basically denounced it, then it's basically fallen apart, I guess, in the eyes of the fans. Sort of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, yeah. I think that would have been a perfect fight to make in a way because first of all, if Pacquiao wins, absolutely insane for his legacy and money and career, everything, right? And if simply getting in there with Crawford, I think is commendable for Pacquiao. But if Crawford were to win, that would make him a unified champion. He's now fought the biggest welterweight star, and going into a Errol Spence Jr. fight, that would be clear, undisputed, and the biggest money fight you can make at that point, right? Considering he would just beat the biggest name and another world champion in Manny Pacquiao, who has an immense legacy. But when I hear, to me, the Aegis Velasquez fight, that wasn't really bad. It was a mandatory as well, so obviously he has to take it. Aegis probably like a bottom of the top 10 type of guy, but I think we know that he's past that level clearly. I want to see him in there more with someone like Danny Garcia, Ugas, Thurman, Porter, another champion, right? So it's just kind of disappointing to hear that now he's going to be going to a guy like Ray Robinson, who, if despite me saying I feel like he's won his past 2 fights, if you want to look on paper, I don't know how they could justify someone coming off of a TKO loss and 2 draws to get a world title shot. So it's just kind of tough for me to even predict what kind of fight he could have next. It just doesn't seem promising for him at all, where I feel like Spence and Pacquiao have far more options, as much as I would like them to fight him.
All right, let me speak. All right. Crawford and Pacquiao need to stop ducking Danny. And I knew you was a fake Danny Garcia fan this whole time because you denounced him as the star of the welterweight division and you chose Pacquiao instead. Well, here I am. Here I am to exert my wrath upon you. You fake Danny Garcia fan. You are a mere hater. You have abandoned this fan base, and even you're accepting that. Hence the banner. I'm disgusted.
No, I just thought about it right now. My analysis was completely off. That is factual facts right there. I have to agree with you. Danny Garcia, as soon as he beats Errol Spence Jr., will be fighting either Pacquiao or Crawford or the winner of that fight. And, if he beats Spence, who is currently rated above both of those two, I would say, it just makes sense, factual, mathematically, logically, that he's favored to beat them and then go undisputed at welterweight.
Think about it. Danny Garcia is not only the best welterweight boxer, but he's the best boxer and the greatest rapper of all time. I mean, think about it. When you talk about his boxing skills, you talk about second to none. When you talk about his rapping skills, it's second to none. He dropped a rap song in 2013. It was the hottest song the whole year. Facts.
Was that before or after the last good win he had, you said?
After it, I remember he made a rap song in 2013. He did okay for a boxer. because I don't expect an athlete to rap very well. However, it came in December of 2013, which is after the Matisse victory.
Yeah, that's after. Yeah. So like really I would have to look at the rankings. Let me pull them up right now for the welterweight division, as well as who do they have available in terms of top rank. Who do they have available to fight? Crawford. My brain is just slowing down because I actually I can't even think of an opponent. I feel like the welterweight division is a good division on paper. Okay, the rankings go as follows: Danny Garcia, Virgil Ortiz, Mikey Garcia, Sean Porter, Shonena, Clayton, Zuski, Keith Thurman, McKinson, Avanesian, Clay, Innes, Kavalaskis, Beppu, and Zangabayev at 15. So the absolute threats of the division are present here, as you can see. Unlike the very weak rankings of the WBC top 10, which is Porter, DSG, Ugas, Mikey Garcia, Keith Thurman, Abdul Kakarov, Avanesian, Virgil Ortiz, Josecito Lopez, Lipinets, Amir Khan, Kavalaskis, Josh Kelly, Ray Robinson. I don't know why. I just feel like the WBO rankings 5, 6, 7 aren't very good. 9, I don't know who that is. 11, I also don't know who that is. And 14 and 15, I unfortunately do not know them. So, yeah, to me, I think honestly we might see Virgil Ortiz get a title shot with the WBO, which is quite peculiar. Um, Especially, I think he's deserving of a title shot. Just I don't know where the other guys were ranked. I know he's a WBA gold champion. To me, man, Crawford is a pound for pound talent. He's an extremely good fighter. Right now, I would say he's in his prime. He's constantly, he has great self discipline. He's a former undisputed at 140. I just don't know what he can do right now at 147 because I simply don't see the options available to him in terms of the people on, first of all, on his quote unquote side of the street, right? People in his sanctioning body, the budget that he can afford to pay them, as well as what those fights actually do. I mean, he could face someone in the top 10 of his sanctioning body, and they would be top 50 maybe. There's guys like Mikey Garcia, but I think he wants a big fight with Bud. He wouldn't do it right now. Sean Porter, they've already said that they would prefer to have each other as last options, and Porter's coming off of a loss fighting Sebastian Formella soon, so I think it's
Yeah.
him to get a break. Like I said already, the number one contender, Danny Garcia, will be opting to go with the WBC route to fight Errol Spence Jr. Virgil Ortiz Jr. could very well legitimately get a title shot next, which is pretty nutty to think about.
He very well could. I think that I honestly think Crawford should fight a guy like a Prograis next, because if you think about it, I mean the Maurice Hooker versus Regis Prograis talks completely fell apart because I can't remember. I don't even remember what Maurice Hooker said. But yeah, those talks basically went out the window. The fight's basically off.
Yeah,
Regis is a good fighter at 140. Crawford will probably beat him up, and I think it's a solid, decent name to have on your record. If you can get a guy like him and beat him, and that'd be solid in my opinion. And I think he has very good all around. I think Regis is just a good all around 8 out of 10 at everything sort of a guy. I like that matchup.
My only issue with that matchup is that's another guy who's not proven at welterweight, and he's technically coming off of a loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, there's not really much else you can do. And I mean, yes, he's coming off a loss, but a really close loss.
A really
It's some
close
a disputed
loss,
loss.
but it wasn't at welterweight. And I feel like for me, I want Crawford to prove himself at welterweight. I know he's good at 140. I know he's good at welterweight even, but I just feel like he should have a top opponent at the division just because I mean, who's the best win on his record right now? It would probably be at 147. Probably be Jeff Horn, or
Jeff Horn, definitely, in my opinion. When it comes to him versus, I think maybe if I'm Crawford, I go after Virgil Ortiz because I can get him young, and once I do that, the win will age very well. Unless Virgil's confidence is ruined somehow, but I mean, I see Crawford definitely winning that fight at this point because Virgil's just too unseasoned, and that'd be a good name for him.
yeah, and I think although I wouldn't necessarily advise it, I think Virgil would take that fight. I think it's entertaining, but right now I have to favor Crawford. I mean, there's almost like a decade of boxing or of actual age, right? Experience.
Yeah.
Crawford was a good amateur. I don't know much about Virgil Ortiz's amateur background. I really like where he is right now as a prospect / contender, but I just don't feel like he's quite ready to take on someone as
He's
talented.
not the most established amateur. Yeah, he lost to Ryan Garcia in the amateurs. That's pretty much all you need to know.
Well, current WBC champion lost to Ryan Garcia 3 times, so maybe Ryan Garcia is goated? Who knows?
Ryan Garcia, the real TBE, the real top prospect in the game, the real man that Lomachenko is ducking.
True. Does Ryan Garcia become the next Danny Garcia? Thoughts?
Yeah. Ryan Scarface Garcia.
Okay, really quickly, I just have a quick question. I know you've said Devin Haney might be the next Devin Alexander, right? What do you think Ryan Garcia's equivalent would be?
I feel like Ryan's pretty unique. He throws punches at the same speed, but in my opinion, the American comparison, there's two key differences between he and American. One, I feel that Ryan actually uses his jab a bit better than Khan. I feel like he understands range a bit better than Khan, but he also doesn't use the angles that Khan does. He doesn't have the foot speed, and he only uses his feet when he resets. He pretty much just sits down exclusively on his combinations and his shots as a whole. So I don't quite think the American comparisons are warranted. I think there is a difference. It's really tough. I'm not sure. Somebody who sits in the pocket likes to sort of use their jab to keep their opponent at bay, and once they walk in, they throw a lot of combinations. But they also have decent lights-out power.
Yeah, but also they leave their chin up in the air. Yeah.
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 I feel like he's pretty unique.
Interestingly enough, right now, I'm looking at the WBA rankings. I don't know how updated these are, but I actually don't see Virgil as the gold champion. And I see a guy at number 4 with the last name Maestre, Maestre. The number 4 guy has a record of 2-0.
Manny Pacquiao versus Gabriel Maestre next. That's the real 6th best welterweight.
What is going on?
The 6th best welterweight, according to the WBA, is 2-0. Jesus Christ.
No, it's 4th on the website I'm on, but maybe I'm not on the most accurate or up to date.
I see Virgil as the gold champion on the website. Which one do you use?
I was just on. Let me see. I was just on Box Live. I don't think it's been updated.
Oh, yeah, the website I use is fightnews.com. They're pretty up to date.
Yeah, I just clicked the first one. I'm going to check the actual WBA website, see what they have there, but that's pretty funny. Just a random little tidbit I thought I might add. Yeah, I see him as the gold champion, right?
Yeah.
Number 4 from Venezuela, Gabriel Maestre, 2-0. What a legend. Biblical record.
He's better than number 11, Keith Thurman.
So true.
Gabriel Maestre. Oh, I need to look up who this dude beat. I swear.
What resume? What 2 wins validates?
Oh God, he beat Diego Chavez in his last fight. Diego Chavez is a former top 10 welterweight contender. He was in there with Keith Thurman. Basically a tough Argentine fighter.
Yeah, but I mean that was like
drew with Timothy Bradley.
That was like 7 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember he drew with Timothy Bradley in like 2015. Now that draw was dubious, just didn't make sense. Bradley clearly won, but I mean, it's a name, I guess.
He's, what's his record in his past fights before this? Let me see. So in
He's
his
1-4
past
in his last
6
5 fights.
fights, in his 6 fights before he fought the GOAT from Venezuela, was 3-3. So let me see how many of those were stoppage. That would
He
be
lost to Tulani and Benji,
Yeah.
who actually Sebastian Formella beat, and he got stopped in 7 rounds, and he lost to Jamal James.
Yeah, so what this essentially means is that Sean Porter is the new WBA champion. That's what we're saying.
I guess so.
That's how the math works out. How many champions are at welterweight? All right, you have Manny Pacquiao, WBA, Errol Spence, WBC, IBF, Crawford, WBO, and last but not least, Sebastian Formella, IBO.
Well, of course the IBO doesn't count, but I mean Sebastian Formella is going to get destroyed by Sean Porter. Like I've watched Sebastian Formella before. His style just completely plays into what Porter does well. I don't even think the fight lasts 5 rounds.
Hey,
Although
man,
Formella's pretty tough. He was able to get a second win and solidify the victory against Benj, but I don't think it'll replicate itself against Porter.
yeah, I think Porter probably just beats him really bad. I think this is a nice break for Porter.
Yeah, it's a good little tune-up for him. Formella's an okay boxer. He boxes off the back foot fairly well. I feel like he matches up bad against a guy like an Ugas. I don't think he beats Ugas. I think Ugas is a little bit too tough on the inside, and I also don't think he quite has the gas tank for Ugas. But I think there are certain guys he could give an issue to, but definitely not Porter.
Like who? Who would you say?
Ugas. I mean, Danny Garcia as well. Like, look, Danny Garcia got taken 12 rounds by Ivan Redkach, so anything can happen, honestly. Although Formella doesn't move his head
now
that
you
well.
just sound like you're hating on DSG 39-0, unified champion, 2-time welterweight champion, former unified 140 champion, bruh.
Well, sometimes I forget. Sometimes I just forget these little facts.
Yeah,
I just forget them.
All you gotta do is repent, bruh.
I'm repenting my sins, and I'm joining the Danny Garcia religion.
All right. Smoke says Crawford dissed the Ray Robinson fight. Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I like Ray Robinson. I'm talking about Ray Robinson with Virgil Ortiz, not Terence Crawford. I feel like there's levels to this thing, and I don't feel like that's a worthy fight.
Yeah.
I would have liked for Crawford to have sent an offer out to Ugas, but it seems like they were waiting around and maybe they weren't getting anything, so Ugas just decided to move forward with the WBA route.
I believe that. Let me think. Forgot what I was going to say. I honestly think Crawford versus Porter should have happened. They were wide open. No fights were on the horizon. This would have been a pay-per-view fight. It would have done good numbers because Porter has probably built his name quite a bit off of the Spence fight, getting those 300K pay-per-view buys. Crawford is a top man in boxing, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
My thing is, I think Bob Arum is just not very good at promoting him, or I don't know. I've seen videos of Crawford and he can get hype, but I feel like whenever they put a camera in front of him, he just gets real boring. No offense,
I don't even look. I wouldn't say he's boring. I just say he isn't a magnanimous personality.
I think he seems more chill than he seems charismatic or anything.
But I'm gonna tell you what it is, all right? Top Rank would rather, promote these fighters on what I call the hope list, like Lomachenko, Tyson Fury, aka the coincidental list, the hope list. Whereas fighters like Terence Crawford are not getting promoted, man.
Yeah. I think Mark was saying that because Intangible made like a kind of joke comment where if they can't make that fight, then they should fire Top Rank. And he said, "Well, hold up, they have half of the pound for pound list, and yet none of those guys are stars. Not a single one of them."
Tyson Fury's
Lomachenko,
a superstar.
Tyson Fury is not. I mean, I guess yeah. If he's in the pound for pound
No,
list.
Tyson Fury is a superstar, bro.
No. I was saying pound for pound list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most
I would
people,
say Tyson
unfortunately,
Fury
include
is
him,
their
yeah.
biggest star, and he's the biggest star. He's been with them for 3 fights, and in those first 2 fights, he was drawn in very mediocre numbers until the third Wilder fight, right? Sorry, the second Wilder fight, which would be his third fight on ESPN.
Yeah, Tyson
I-
Fury is the guy who shows up to the moment, but I mean, he also his fame has really nothing to do with Top Rank at all. It has to do with the UK market that he was originally part of, that eventually transitioned over to the American market, which he eventually joined after the
First Wilder fight, which he wasn't with.
after the first Wilder
that
fight,
point.
when he basically just disenfranchised the UK market, because I mean he's been at odds with them for the better part of 5 years, and also I mean he's had drug situations, he's had scandals and all that kind of stuff dating back to many years ago,
Exactly.
and
Like Glovegate 2.0.
yeah, bruh, Glovegate 7.0. But I mean,
Bro,
I'm talking about like the
I
failed
actually
drug
got
test.
Glovegate 3.0 coming out featuring Errol Spence and his gloves.
Bro, stop
see-
hating.
Let's see if this gets attraction, yeah? Glovegate 3.0.
Glovegate 4.0, which is going to be Kazuto Ioka loading his gloves, and Tanaka still overcoming that and being able to defeat him.
Fucking hell. Yeah, so hey, what do you guys think about the fights tomorrow, man? We got some good fights tomorrow.
Yeah, Wrong Versailles versus Ren Wrong. Wrong Versailles wins that fight. I don't have anything else to say. However, I will say
watching that fight, bro.
I'll watch that fight in the morning. I'm just not into going. I'm not going to stay up until 3 a.m. I'd have to stay up for another 6 hours, and I'm just not willing to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Because,
What's
bro,
up?
here's the thing. Is it Run Wrong or Run Wrong?
Yeah, Run Wrong. Whatever.
Run Wrong. I'm just gonna call him Amnat. Amnat's shot, bro.
Yeah, he is.
He's
complete.
old.
Dude lost to Tenshin Nasukawa in 2017. Floyd Mayweather's victim.
Wait, what?
Yeah, in kickboxing.
Oh, well, actually, Tenshin is actually a very good kickboxer.
Yeah, he is.
So I'm
just
not
saying.
gonna hold that against him.
I didn't realize my mic was muted. But I laughed at the Floyd Mayweather victim.
Bro, what are we
Dude,
gonna call him?
I'm not hating on Floyd.
Mayweather's victim.
I'm gonna call him number 51.
I'm not. Yeah, number
Dude.
51. I'm not even hating on Tension, but that fight looks or Floyd. Sorry, I'm not hating on Floyd, but that fight looks so fixed. I don't know why. The way he was bouncing around the ring seemed so I don't know, disingenuous.
Dude, it wasn't
Yeah.
really fixed. I mean, the size difference was just fucking huge.
Well, no, I'm not saying that Floyd wouldn't have destroyed him. I was sure of that already. Just
If
the
it
way
was
that he would knock
kickboxing,
him,
Tension would have fucked him up.
the way he knocked him down and Tension like bounced on his butt 4 times, it was comical.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, look, if it was kickboxing, Tension would have fucked him up inside like 30 seconds.
Sure. I have no way of knowing. What if Floyd just punched him once when he tried to kick and he went flying outside the ring? I mean,
Bro, you can land a kick before you can land a punch. That's the thing.
what if he lands a jab? He jabs him while he loads up a kick.
Ah, come on. Tension would have kicked his leg and it would have broke. Bro, I want to see like if you know what I would love to see, bro? Mirko Krokop kick Wilder in the leg.
No,
would
I
love to
would
see
not
that.
like to see that. That would just be
I
terrible.
reckon.
On
If he load-
steroids. On steroids.
Well, Krokop was always on steroids, bro. I'm gonna say Tyrone Spong. Since he's younger, I would love to see Tyrone Spong full power kick Wilder in the leg. Just load up on that kick, whatever. I would love to see him, man. Because I reckon
I would
it
like to
snap
see
in half.
Tenshin I'd like to see Tenshin Nasukawa. Actually, who else is? Yo, because of the fact that Tenshin Nasukawa beat I'm Not Renwrong beat Kazuto Ioka. Kazuto Ioka is a Floyd Mayweather victim.
What?
Kazuto Ioka is a victim of a Floyd Mayweather victim.
Exactly. Well, still.
No, wait. He's a victim of a Floyd Mayweather victim.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
So, I mean, Floyd Mayweather slayed that entire kingdom of fighters that were trying to build themselves up.
Yeah, that's how it works.
You know what? I can't even hate on Floyd, man, because people were giving him shit about Manny Pacquiao, right? He beat Pacquiao's ass and then signed him to Girl Collection, bro. I mean, Floyd Mayweather literally gets paid every time Pacquiao fights.
Dude, Floyd Mayweather. Yo, I'm not gonna lie though. People give Floyd Mayweather crap, but like, if I could go to Japan and just beat some midget kickboxer, I would. I would. If I could go just take a bunch of whores from Las Vegas, put them in a strip club, and just monetize them, I mean, it's smart. I'm not gonna lie.
Uh, um, where were we going with this?
Where the hell were we?
I think we're
So,
talking about Red Wrong versus.
The
And,
fight.
yeah,
The fights tomorrow.
back
You
back
have
to that. I'm looking forward to the Usyk card, and I'm looking forward to Showtime main event, and actually Cheeseman versus Eggington.
Eggington versus Cheeseman is just
It's the sporting event of the century. I agree.
well,
The only
Eddie
reason
Hearn
I'm
said it's supposed to
interested
feel
is
like a pay per
because
view.
I have a multi-bet, and that fight's one of them. So I'm just keen to get that one done.
That makes
Yeah, I
sense.
bet you're betting on Cheeseman because Eggington is shot and Eggington is not good.
Yeah, I'm betting on. I just got to bet on. I got to bet on. Let me pull it up. I even forgot what my first fucking bet was on this. In a while.
Yeah, I will say though, Tremaine Williams versus Angelo Leo is a good fight. Even though he's a late replacement, I'm still picking Williams in this fight. I liked what I saw from Williams. The thing is, the difference between he and Fulton, I think Fulton is I think he's a more physically gifted. I think he's more physically gifted than Tremaine Williams, but I think Tremaine Williams matches him in terms of technique. And stylistically, he presents similar issues. He fights in the pocket a little bit more than Fulton. Isn't quite as twitchy. Probably won't avoid the shot that Fulton would against Leo, but I still think he probably outboxes him.
Yeah, I bet on Takam, Cheeseman, and then Bacole. That's like 3-1 odds. So I mean, I'm just waiting to get this Cheeseman fight done. Then hopefully Martin Bacole beats the shit out of Kuzman.
So you guys are backing Cheeseman?
Yeah, I'm back in Cheeseman.
Cheese is gonna crack the egg. It's
Bro.
gonna.
Big Cheeseman.
All right,
Is that
intangible is out. That was unacceptable and really just disrespectful to the stream to make a Cheeseman Eggington joke.
Right, Ted Cheeseman. I'm actually impressed by that guy, man. He was a complete one-dimensional brawler, and then he went in there and outboxed Scott Fitzgerald. He got robbed, but he really outboxed him, and he actually looked like a fucking decent boxer. It was crazy.
Will Ted Cheeseman turn into shredded cheese against Sam Eggington? Will he turn?
Why?
I don't have anything else.
He's gonna start an LTBC YouTube channel and call it Blue Cheese Sports TV.
All right, that was pretty good. I don't know why that got me.
Ted
What's
Cheeseman.
good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Cheese Sports TV, back at y'all again with another one. Undefeated WBC lineal boxing superstar Tyson Fury has rejected Glovegate 2.0 accusations. That's gonna be his YouTube channel, like intro.
I'm gonna make that channel.
Blue Cheese Sports TV. Bro, I actually find
Yeah.
You know who's that guy? Have you guys ever seen the movie The Goonies?
Yeah.
I haven't.
Holy shit, I'm old. Bro, alright, search up the Goonies.
You're really not.
Bro,
That movie is
search up,
also well before your time. So what are you what are you talking about?
search up the Goonies, bro. He's Chunk from the Goonies. Actually, no, he's the sloth from the Goonies, bro. He's the sloth. Bro, Ted Cheeseman looks like sloth from the fucking Goonies, man.
All right, let me pull up a picture of both of them so Intangible can see.
I'm creating that right now.
There it is.
Oh, he's sloth is the
Here's
dude
a,
on the right.
here's a legendary reference by L Dog.
Pull up, Ted Cheeseman.
I really see it. I haven't seen a ton of pictures of Ted Cheeseman, but I see it honestly. I'll never look at Ted Cheeseman the same, ever.
That's the comparison.
No, I got one. Hold up.
You got one?
See the if you Google image Ted Cheeseman, there's
Yeah.
like a picture of him doing an interview with on Sky Sports, and it's got like Anthony Fowler in the.
Oh yeah, I see
I
it.
got that one.
This one does look better actually.
Bro, he literally is Sloth from the Goonies.
I just the whole setup of have you guys ever watched the Goonies? And then he goes no, and you're like, man, I'm old. And that movie's well before your time as well. That's hilarious.
Bro, I thought
And
that
trying
movie
to think
came.
of what. I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to think about what physical disability he has.
I don't even want
The
to know.
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Bro, I'm gonna tweet him the picture of Sloth from the Goonies and say, "Good luck, Ted."
Don't do that, man.
I made fun of Liam Smith on Twitter, and I got blocked on like an account I had about 3 years ago.
You did.
It was
That's
fun.
amazing.
Bro, Joe Gallagher, I'm pretty sure he's got me blocked because I said his gym just is like a factory that produces UK bums.
That's so just rude. That's not even like.
Bro, it was rude, but at the same time, it ain't a lie, bro. He trains the Smith brothers and he trained Anthony Crolla, bro. Literally UK bums.
Those are. I mean, first of all,
Well, actually, Anthony Crolla was
Callum
a
Smith
very
is
good
a
fighter.
bum.
yeah,
Callum Smith is a bum.
Oh my god, I knew you were gonna do that. I was gonna say, isn't Anthony Kroll a top 10 for Lomachenko, but he's a
Bro,
bum.
no, he wasn't a top 10, bro. He was a former world champion.
Oh, okay. So
Gave
former
the
world champion
legendary
and
Jorge Linares a very good fight.
yeah, who is a ring champion. So
That's actually
I
true.
cannot. I cannot remember how to create a new YouTube channel. Like I know how to create a new email for a new YouTube. I don't know how to add one to the same one anymore. Might have reached a limit or something, because I have like 10 different YouTube accounts.
yeah.
And I have like 15 different email addresses. It's crazy.
You should just delete them. If you delete them, you can make more.
Yeah. Which one should I delete?
Bro, Wait, you were the guy who made all those accounts named after old boxers, weren't you?
I made an account.
No, not intangible. No,
I made an account called Petey Cerrone. I made an account called Rocky Kansas. I made an account called Baby Arizmendi. I made an account called
Who made the Fritzy Zivich account?
8 Sins.
Yeah,
That's his account.
Bro, Fritzy Zivich is a legend, bro. In my opinion, the greatest boxer of all time.
Well, he's the greatest Eastern European boxer of all time. That is actually true.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
Honestly, it's not even a close second. I'm
I'll
being
say
guilty.
Lomachenko is better because when you factor in his amateur career and everything, he's just a better boxer, bro. Like,
Well,
let's be real
professional
here.
career though. I'm not necessarily talking about IBT. You just tell me not to make an egg and cheese joke, and yet you type it in the chat.
No, man, he just said, let's go egg and cheese. So,
Bro, Tremaine Williams.
are you
Salute.
hating on me on my own show? You're out of here. Goodbye.
Hey, let's go. Tremaine Williams versus Angelo Leo. That's a great fight. I'm picking Tremaine Williams. I haven't
I
actually
agree.
seen. I haven't seen much Tremaine Williams fights, all right, and I've been trying to find some. Not really any online and good quality, but he's undefeated. He's young. He's a southpaw, and he was training for an orthodox fighter. He was meant to fight on the undercard, so he did have a full training camp.
Mm-hmm.
But Angelo Leo, he was training for an orthodox fighter. Fighting a southpaw like this, an undefeated southpaw on short notice, is difficult because all the sparring you had was actually against orthodox
And it was
fighters.
all useless. That's what it was all just completely useless.
Well, I mean, it was getting him sharp, getting him ready,
Yeah, no,
fit.
I'm
But
just kidding.
I think Tremaine Williams is going to outbox Angelo Leo. I've heard people saying he's going to stop Leo,
Nah,
but
I don't think
I
so.
don't know about that. But look, this is actually a good fight, and I'm picking Tremaine Williams to win by decision. What about you guys?
At the
I
moment,
agree. I'm picking Tremaine Williams to win the fight by decision. I feel like like a lot of people are high on Leo. He just doesn't impress me, honestly. I feel like he doesn't use his jab nearly enough. Not that great at cutting off the ring. He can box a little bit. He's got some decent skills. He's a solid puncher, good counter puncher, and all that. Fights on the inside, but I mean, I just don't quite see it in him. I just don't.
all right. Sorry, I didn't know if you were done or not. But yeah, at the moment, I'm kind of slightly favoring Tremaine Williams, just on similar things that L Dog said. The fact that he did have a full training camp training for an orthodox. I don't believe that Leo's fought anyone that's a southpaw who's really good. Honestly, I know he fought a southpaw either last year or 2018, but I don't know, man. I just feel like this might be kind of like a bad late replacement in terms of if you wanted Leo to win, right? I think Leo's probably the more. He's probably being favored by the actual promotional company, I guess. But these are both young guys. He has a slight size disadvantage, Tremaine Williams, but I think he just has the skills to how he's prepared, the kind of odds going into this fight. I just think the conditions are right for him to win the WBO title.
He's fought
Angelo
one
Leo.
southpaw and he went the distance with him, I think, so far I've seen from Angelo Leo.
Okay.
That was in early 2019.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
remember he
has-
fought at Southpaw, but I didn't remember if it was 2018 or 2019.
I've seen two of his fights. I saw his fight against Sharon Carter, and I saw his fight against Cesar Juarez. I just wasn't that impressed. I don't know what it is. I just don't see it. I really don't. I think he could be a fringe contender, maybe in the top 10 at some point, but I just don't quite see it, honestly. I really don't.
Yeah, man. So this is the Angelo Leo hate fan club. I guess just hater club.
he actually has fought quite a few southpaws, I ain't gonna lie.
Yes.
Yeah, Angelo Leo.
Check.
I'm
I'm
counting
not saying he's a
4.
bad fighter.
I'm going through his box rec.
Yeah. What if he
fought-
shows
I'm not-
up
I'm not even saying he's a bad fighter. I just.
after all this trash you're talking about him intangible? What if he wins?
He's
Well,
actually a decent fighter. I think he's actually a good boxer. I wouldn't say he's.
If he wins the fight, I'll give him credit because I think he does have a chance, especially because Williams didn't really have a camp. However,
Wait, Tremaine Williams did have a camp.
yeah, for a fight on the undercard, not for Angelo Leo. So he didn't have much time to prepare for it.
But listen, that's a better preparation because he was at least sparring orthodox fighters compared to Leo, who prepared for an orthodox fighter.
That is true.
So he had a better camp, in my opinion, preparing for Leo than Leo had preparing for Williams.
He had the more applicable camp, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more solidified in Williams winning the fight. But if Angelo Leo wins the fight, I pick Akhmadaliev to beat him.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the only unfortunate thing about the winner of this fight is they're gonna have to get some defenses or beat some good contenders, maybe former champions, to really solidify themselves. I do believe that the winner of this fight will fight Stephen Fulton next. I think that's the plan. But
Yeah.
it is pretty unfortunate that even if they win, I think they're still the weakest champion. You know, as much as
The winner between them versus Fulton, who should they fight? Maybe Ryosuke Iwasa or something. I don't know.
yeah,
I mean,
that wouldn't be a bad fight.
I actually rate Stephen Fulton. He's one of my favorite
I do.
American boxers who uses that kind of Floyd style, I'll call it. In
Yes.
terms of guys who can fight like Floyd, Stephen Fulton is closer to Floyd Mayweather than Devin Haney is. Maybe not in looks, but in the way they fight. He is actually a lot closer, in my opinion.
Yeah, Fulton does have his weaknesses, in my opinion, defensively. But I actually think the guy stands a pretty solid chance. I think he'd actually beat Angelo Leo in probably even better fashion than Williams. I think he'd probably win an 8-4 type of fight, a pretty competitive fight. But I'd pick him to beat Leo. I'd pick him to beat the winner of this fight. I mean, of course, if Leo looks devastating, maybe I'll change my mind on that. But yeah.
I have to actually check something because I do remember Joshua Greer Jr. Recently lost to Mike Blania, right? Is he ranked number 1 in WBO, or is that?
Let me check this out.
Yeah, I need to check this. I feel like that'd be a good fight.
WBO Super Bantamweight.
Yeah.
Albert Pagara is the number 1 ranked WBO contender.
Oh.
Some dude. Yeah, maybe. You know what though? They might set up Luis Neri to fight the winner of this fight. Luis Neri's a PBC guy.
Yeah, that's actually true. I think Netty's a good fighter as well. I'm kind of upset with how Daniel Roman was treated after the MJ Akhmadaliev fight. I don't think he deserved released. Thought that fight should get a rematch as well. But seeing it as he is on PBC now, maybe they'll be able to make a Ray Vargas fight. I know Ray Vargas is good, but I don't really like his style, to be honest. He just kind of seems vulnerable a lot.
Very negative.
What?
Yeah. I'd probably pick somebody like I think Luis Neri. I don't know if he's gonna quite be able to translate to 122. He looked great against Payano. Broke him down pretty effectively.
Yeah.
He demolished Yamanaka, but he's done pretty much nothing for a while. I mean, he's pretty much done nothing but miss weight. That's basically it. Just miss weight a bunch of times and knock people out.
He was gonna fight.
That dude missed weight on a more frequent basis than Tank Davis.
That is technically true. Yeah, that is technically true.
I don't even think that's a discipline thing. I just think he's too big for the weight class, honestly.
It's both. I mean, I've heard when he was with Freddie Roach. Now I know he's with Eddie Reynoso, but when he was with Freddie Roach, they would start camp, or the day they were supposed to start camp, he would be like, let me delay it a little bit, or he would kind of like be gone for a couple days in the middle of the week and then come back. And I know I just don't think Freddie Roach really has the energy kind of to reel guys in like that and really get them to be disciplined. So I'm glad he's with Eddie Reynoso now, who has a smaller stable, a more concentrated stable as well. He was supposed to fight Emmanuel Rodriguez, who is a Inoue victim, as Intangible would say, after coming off the Jason Maloney victory. And I think he's going to fight Roman next. That's scheduled, so that's a good fight for both of them because I rate both of those guys.
I got a question, bro. Does Joe Gallagher, whatever his name is, does he train the McDonald brothers? Because that would make a whole lot of sense.
I'm not sure. He might. Let me see.
Joe Gallagher is trash. Dude, if you train Callum Smith, you're horrible.
Bro, he
There-
tried Smith and Crawler.
Callum Smith is among the 3 worst champions of the past decade.
No, not even close. You're high.
Dude,
You're trolling now. You're literally
I'm
trolling.
not even kidding. He,
God.
Pedro Tatarán, and Deontay Wilder are the 3 worst champions of the last
No.
decade.
The worst
So
champions,
correct.
the
Oh
worst
my God.
champions I've seen are Wilder.
You guys are high. You guys are just.
Dude, Wilder was a
You guys are
shit champion.
trolling.
IBT.
guys
Let's
are-
be
you guys
real.
are-
Deontay Wilder was garbage. Dude, I'm not gonna lie though. Callum Smith is horrible. I honestly think he's one of the worst champions.
Callum Smith right now is a UK bum, bro. But the
He's a
UK,
regional level fighter
listen,
portraying a top level
this
fighter.
this goes out to anyone in the UK, man. They
Yeah,
always
he's
say about
basically
these shit fighters. They always say, "Oh, he's
Oh,
a
no.
class act." But bro,
like
they
he's maybe a level above like a Ted Cheeseman, honestly. Pound for
Stop.
pound.
Oh my
So
God.
why?
Uh,
Pedro
only
Tatarán though, Pedro
I'll
Tatarán
give-
is honestly one of the worst champions
I'll
probably
give
in
you a-
boxing history. Really bad.
I'll give you a rundown of the UK fighters I like. I actually like Josh Taylor, Luke Campbell, and
Luke Campbell has a similar
Scott
claim.
Fitzgerald.
Luke Campbell has similar claim to bumhood as Anthony Crolla.
Honestly,
Come on.
I'm not gonna lie though. I honestly believe Campbell's a significantly more skill. I'm gonna stop cyberbullying Callum Smith. I'm done.
Yeah, I think this is probably why he wants 10 million for fights. He's listening to his favorite YouTuber Intangible just absolutely slander him on a
Listen.
daily basis.
I can't guarantee you how I'm going to get the money, but I will raise $10 million by any means necessary for you to fight Beterbiev in Russia.
No,
Oh my
why would you do
God.
that? Why would you do that? That just doesn't seem. That
I
doesn't
want to
seem
see that
kind.
fight, man. That is one of my top 5 fights I want to see in boxing is Beterbiev versus Callum Smith. 175. Actually, nah, screw that. 180-pound catch weight for Beterbiev, so he's even more strong. You know.
Yo, the main fight I really want to see is Oscar Valdez versus Lomachenko at 130 in between the Teofimo fights.
Bro, I want to see Teofimo versus Valdez.
Dude,
I don't know why you guys want to see Valdez get hurt. This is just blatantly rude.
dude, Oscar Valdez will get hit with the left hook and be sent flying out the arena into the Atlantic Ocean.
Nah, he's got that defense now, bro. You didn't. He's a top level defensive fighter now.
Bro, I'm
Yeah.
gonna say this, man. Eddie Reynoso, I'm not sure about his training. Like, look, I know he's a good trainer, but the mark of a good trainer is also understanding that fighters have a specific style, and you can
Well,
improve on that,
feel
but you
like-
can't really change it.
The issue
Yeah,
with
I feel
Valdez's
like-
style is
I feel like he
specifically
tried
wanted
to-
to.
I feel like
Sorry.
he tries a bit too hard to make Oscar Valdez sort of like a Canelo clone, like a boxer puncher type of a guy, when Valdez is always going to be an in-your-face type of a fighter. He's always going to be sort of trying to counter you from around mid-range or trying to come forward. He's not going to be a back foot fighter at all. And the Velez game plan is horrible. I mean, he was winning the rounds, but the game plan was terrible.
Yeah, that's just hating, bro. In all seriousness, now I think this Scott Quigg fight kind of showed him you can't use your face as a shield, so they're trying to implement more defense, but it just comes off as awkward because it's not natural to him. Obviously, not that he's late in his career, but he's already in his prime, past his prime kind of time in his career. So it's strange it's almost like Triple G and Jonathan Banks to me, where I feel like those are both two good fighters, where the teachings of Jonathan Banks aren't necessarily applying well to Triple G, because it's kind of weird now to start implementing head movement for Triple G when it isn't really something he's been doing for his entire life. Not his entire life, but you know what I mean. More recently in his career. Whereas
Abel
Valdez,
Sanchez ruined Triple G.
nah.
I feel like Triple G is just. I feel like that damage from those two Canelo fights is just taking a toll on him.
Bro, I'm telling you, I think Abel Sanchez ruined him with this whole Mexican style bullshit. He needed to stay true to his roots, man. That Eastern European style.
Oh yeah, L-Dog, I forgot. I nearly
I'm saying
forgot. You almost got me. You almost got me.
he should have remained true to his roots on that.
What
Like,
I
I'm not saying
legitimately
he needed an Eastern European trainer, but I'm saying to me, someone like Robert Garcia would have actually been a really good trainer for Triple G
I
because
agree with that.
he can train someone who's technical like Mikey Garcia. I think that similar style would have worked wonders for Triple G. You know, cutting the ring off, timing those shots, things like that. But I think Abel Sanchez, like you know how I say, Joe Gallagher trains UK bums, bro. Abel Sanchez turns good fighters into Mexican wannabe bums, bro, because all they do is come forward flat-footed, and they don't even know the true Mexican style, bro.
Murat Gassiev,
Mexican
that
style.
Murat Gassiev looked like he wanted to quit after like 2 rounds after like 5 rounds against Usyk. I mean, that was a horrible performance by Gassiev, and Sanchez made no improvements. He was like, come on, go for the knockout, go for the knockout. Didn't make any adjustments mid-fight at all.
He should have simply gone for the knockout, in my opinion.
Did you hear what Abel Sanchez was telling Triple G in the second Canelo fight? I think it was like the 10th round. He just said, "Go in there and knock him out, Triple G. Like, go in there and knock him out, G." Like, bro, you're gonna have to give him some better advice than that.
Gennady! Yeah. I also feel like Robert Garcia could add sort of like an awkward sort of. Maybe he could give Triple G a more erratic sort of a way of changing levels because, I mean, that. I'm not going to lie, though. I got to give Robert Garcia credit for one thing. Like, if you look at the Maidana sort of transition he made with him, that is one of the greatest fighter improvements I've ever seen. I mean, he turned Marcos Maidana from basically a scrub, come forward, hard puncher to Fritzy Zivic, just a really awkward.
Okay, all right, we gotta chill. Let's chill a little.
I'm not even kidding. He actually turned him into a really awkward,
Hey,
but really good jabber who mixes it up really well, changes levels, isn't accurate, but is able to capitalize off of being busy and is able to compensate for that. Has so little physical gifts, but actually had some smarts. I mean, those improvements were incredible. Honestly, those improvements were amazing.
hey, guys, who would you say are your top 5 trainers in boxing right now?
Number
Right
one, probably Robert Garcia. Number two, Buddy McGirt.
Doesn't have to
I
be
just
in
don't
any
think Buddy
order.
McGirt quite has the stable. Buddy McGirt is a great trainer, in my opinion.
Doesn't have to be in order. Just give me like your top 5 names.
I'll go with Robert Garcia, Buddy McGirt, Frederick Roach,
Dude, Frederick Roach.
Eddie,
Uh-huh.
G.H. Reynoso, and what else? Adam Booth. You know what?
No, stop trolling, stop.
Okay,
I agreed with your list up until the last one.
Okay, I'll go. Shane McGuigan's actually a pretty solid trainer.
What about
I'm not gonna lie.
what about the Ingle Gym?
I mean, they
Dominic
got the best
Ingle?
nasal spray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give him
I would
that.
say my top 5 trainers. I'm gonna
I
say
forgot to add Bomac.
I'm gonna say
Yeah,
Anatoly Lomachenko. I'm gonna say Shane McGuigan, Mark Ramsey. Yeah, I know I had another Robert Garcia, and I want to give like an underrated pick. I'm gonna say Pedro Diaz. That's my top 5, man. Best trainers in boxing.
You're just saying that because he's Filip Hrgovic's trainer.
that is a terrible list.
But he also took Zukan to championship, Baranchik to championship, trained Guillermo Regendow for a lot of fights. Like he trained Guillermo Regendow for all of his best fights. So he has actually trained a lot of good boxers.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to see his stable improving. Like, I think, Romer Alexis Angulo, he picked up a upset win against Anthony Sims. So actually, the Mundo boxing team has been doing very well, and I expect them to keep doing well.
Huh.
Honorable mentions: Rob McCracken. Well, how is it a horrible list? Anatoly
No,
Lomachenko
no, no. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
trained 2 pound for pound fighters from day one, pretty much.
I've just been stuck thinking about Abel Sanchez right now, going from having a unified champion and champion to both of them losing in the same year.
Yeah, so Mark Ramsey, I think, is an actual underrated trainer. He trains Beterbiev.
Yeah, I know he trains.
Mark Ramsey would have been a decent trainer for Golovkin, I think.
Yeah, he would have. I mean,
'Cause
look
he
at what
can
better
train that
argument.
aggressive. He can train that aggressive kind of Eastern European style, but he can also teach them things like body work, inside fighting. Like he can take some fighters who are quite basic and amateurish, like Beterbiev was, and teach him the more mold him into more of a pro style.
I'm actually like, if you look at the Golovkin fight against Canelo, Golovkin struggles at fighting on the back foot. It's not that he's incapable of fighting on the back foot. It's just that he doesn't do it. Why? Because all Abel Sanchez does is
Go
he
forward.
trains his fighters to come in face first, walk into punches, and just wear your opponent down. Like, if you look at Golovkin actually moving laterally, he's somewhat fluid. Actually, I'm not going to say he's great at it or especially great at it, but I mean, with work, I think he'd actually be solid. So, Mark Ramsey's trained some good pressure fighters at Arch Beterbiev, Oscar Rivas. And I think Mark Ramsey would have been good with Golovkin, because if you notice something about Mark Ramsey's fighters, his fighters actually have good clinch work. Like, Oscar Rivas was beating Dillian White in the clinch.
Mark Ramsey, I think he's an overlooked trainer, and so is Shane McGuigan. Shane McGuigan really helped Josh Taylor, and I'm not sure Josh Taylor will be the same caliber of fighter under
Benjamin Daniel Davison.
Ben Davison is a trash trainer. I'm gonna say it. A lot of people overrate him, saying like what a great job he did. He's the reason Fury didn't beat Wilder in the first fight, bro, with some stupid advice like you can win the fight with your jab alone. Bro, you got to take it from the champion. You got to throw power shots and take it from him, man.
He's a motivational speaker who worked as a pastor at a church and then got thrown into a boxing gym one day.
Doesn't surprise me. Then, who were some other good trainers, man? I'm trying to think. Oh, actually, you know what? Did you watch that Alexander Kisniak fights I sent you?
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't
Yeah.
watch.
Alexander Kisniak is the truth. That dude is a beast.
That guy, I reckon he should train with Mark Ramsey.
Yeah,
Kisniak is like a 160-pound Roman Gonzalez. That's how I'd describe him. He cuts the ring off. He'll fucking run at you. He throws combination punches. Like, he's a real fighter, man. Kisniak is the future. He's going to dethrone Canelo. My
Canelo
prediction
won't be at
was
160 though.
Yeah.
but neither will Kisniak, because Kisniak fought all the way at like light heavyweight in the amateurs even. But I think my prediction before all this COVID was that he was going to be fighter of the decade. I thought he'd pick up gold in 2020, turn pro, and rack up some real good victories over the next 9 years. But unfortunately, that's been pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
He's still only 24. So I mean, he'll be like 25 by the time he goes pro, which isn't too old considering he'll probably end up at 175.
Who do you guys actually think is going to be the fighter of the decade in the 20s?
That's too difficult to tell right now. I mean, there's a lot of prospects, contenders that could very well just take off.
I'm gonna make a prediction. I'm gonna say out of the current fighters who are pro,
Filip Herkovich.
nah.
No, he was being
I
serious.
might say, what if Vasyl Lomachenko, hypothetically, let's say he beats Devin Haney, Teofimo Tank, and Ryan, and they will go on to become really good. Even if
Yeah.
he
Yeah, but the thing
retires,
is,
even if
it's
he
just
retires early on in the decade, because I don't think he'll box for more than 3 years, could he have a situation like Floyd Mayweather where those wins actually age pretty well, and he
Well,
ends up getting fighter of the
the
decade?
thing, the
but
thing
Floyd
is,
Mayweather. If you look at who Floyd Mayweather beat, I mean, you have Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, Ortiz, uh, Guerrero, Maidana, Canelo, Pacquiao over the span of 5 years. And in the case of Pacquiao, or rather Lomachenko, he'd only do it over the span of 3 years.
yeah,
And against those guys, and those guys aren't a guarantee. I would only assume that maybe a couple of those guys actually pan out.
yeah,
I don't.
even with Floyd, the people have an argument for him, but they ultimately end up saying like, oh well, Canelo's work or Pacquiao's work in the last 10 years is better than those 5 years, although those 5 years were good, right? So, I mean, even then, Floyd Mayweather, I would say, beat much better names in 5 years than Lomachenko could in 3 years. So, unfortunately, I just think the way the decades are cut up, I don't think he gets it.
The guy has 4 wins against Hall of Famers in the decade, I believe.
Yeah, I think four.
Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez.
Nah,
Well, then
bro,
I'm gonna take a
actually
pick and
six
say
wins.
Dimitri Bivol.
Marcos Maidana, bruh.
I'm gonna say Dimitri Bivol.
Yeah, I mean,
Bivol, if well, look, I'm not even sure about Bivol because a part of being fighter of the decade is actually luck. You need to be in divisions that have other good fighters and a lot of them. So even if you're an outstanding boxer, but you're not in divisions with a lot of good fighters, like 175 is a weird division because moving up in weight is like a big transition, and there's not many weight classes you can move to. So I mean, realistically, let's
it's
say,
arguably a bad transition too.
yeah, let's say,
Yeah, the thing is, some people may say Naoya Inoue, but I think Inoue is starting to reach a cap as far as how high he can go.
He's talking about moving up soon, which is peculiar to me.
he's gonna
Yeah,
get beaten up when he moves up.
I think he beats the champions at 122, but I think he loses at 126.
I think Ahmed Aliyev destroys him.
I thought Akhmadaliev barely beat Daniel Roman, and Daniel Roman was coming off of a shoulder
It's his
surgery.
8th fight though, bro. He's too
Yeah,
explosive, too
so
big, and he's only gonna get better. But
Yeah,
anyway,
Ahmed
like,
Aliev was a unified champion. Is a unified champion at 9-0. The guy is he's going to improve over the next few fights.
yeah,
I
he's
don't
good.
know.
What I'm trying to say is I don't think he destroys Inoue. I think that's very excessive.
he could clip him, bro. He's got that kind of power.
He didn't even hurt Roman. I didn't even really see him hurt Roman.
But bro, he's getting better. Anyway, I'm gonna say Bivol. If Bivol beats Beterbiev and Canelo in over this decade, he's off to a good start, man. He's off to a good start, especially if he then beats someone like the winner of Joe Smith versus Lydia Alvarez. But he'd need more names still.
Yeah.
What? However, what if Tanaka? I'm not sure if all this is going to happen, but what if Tanaka were to beat somebody like were to beat Ioka in late 2020, then go on to beat Cajas, then Gonzalez, and then Estrada?
I don't think that happens.
Yo, what's going on, bro?
I
Shout out
don't
to
think
IBT, man. The realist on YouTube, bro. Shout out to L Dog. Shout out to Croatia, bro. And shout out to the DMV. OG, intangible, bro.
Yeah, salute.
All right, so we kind of got off topic, I guess, but let me go to the final thing I want to talk about, and that's Zurdo Ramirez said it's absurd that Canelo won't fight Mexicans. I can beat him. And really quickly, I don't know if we need to have a discussion about Gilberto Ramirez versus Canelo Alvarez, right? I think we all kind of agree that Canelo would beat him.
Facts,
Gilberto
facts.
Ramirez.
First of all, salute to the Oak Cliff OG.
The general,
Yeah,
bro.
salute to
I'm
OG
officially a
Mexican, bro.
general of Oak Cliff, man.
Yeah, salute
But
to the whole Bay Area, salute to Down Under, and
Hey,
salute to all
and
my boys.
I don't listen to hip hop much, but I must say Yella Beezy, he's one of the best rappers out right now.
Facts, bro. But let me get on this topic real quick, bro. I think Sordo Ramirez, he's a cloud chaser. He left Top Rank because he was ducking the smoke at 175, bro. This dude's starting to get annoying. First, his fighting style is annoying. Second, the way he talks, bro, is annoying. And third, these recent comments hating on Canelo are annoying, bro. I want to see him fight better BF. And if he don't fight better BF, he better fight Bevo, bro. Why is he trying to pick on a middleweight, man? So
I think
that's what I got to
before the
say about
Lomachenko,
Zurdo Ramirez.
I think before the Lomachenko Corolla fight, I watched Gilberto Ramirez's fight with Arthur Abraham. I caught myself with my eyes like half open at certain points during the fight, like the sixth round. I was
It was
barely
boring,
even
bro.
awake. I mean, I understand the whole point that Canelo did say, I think once, that he wouldn't fight Mexicans. Look, if Canelo decides to fight Ramirez next, I am not interested in watching. I'll watch it because I mean I'm a fan of boxing, but not very interesting, honestly. But as far as who Canelo should be looking to fight next, I think he should fight Callum Smith, take the trash out, and he would solidify himself at 168 as a champion there, and sort of end all doubts as the WBA regular champion. Because he's gonna, I don't even know what he's gonna do to Callum Smith, but I've been sort of thinking about what round he would stop him in, but I can't really think.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Mr. Mr. Intangible. That was a hell of a statement. I do believe he should fight Callum Smith, bro. Callum Smith is easy work. The only thing Callum Smith has is size. But I think Canelo's body work, he would bring him down, he would hunch him down, and he would stop him to the head, bro. Canelo is made for these type of fighters, man. Come forward fighters like Callum Smith. And if Callum Smith tries to box just because he has height, he's even gonna get exposed even more, bro, because he's not used to that style. It's a win-win for Canelo. He will stop him to the body or to the head, more specific to the head through a combination, man. It's gonna be a hell of a fight. I do see a lot of action, but it's gonna be more Canelo putting hands on Callum Smith.
Because Callum Smith is so tall, I think Canelo will go to his body more, actually.
I think
Thanks.
he's saying,
the fight looks like the Rocky Fielding fight, just a little more competitive.
yeah, that's. I didn't want to sound mean, but that's basically where I was going to. I just
Actually,
feel like,
considering that fight was not competitive at all, it'll look like a moderately competitive version of that fight. Canelo will drop him a couple times to the body. Smith will last a couple more rounds, but
And
he'll get stopped.
before I bounce off, bro, because I gotta go. I'm about to start my new show, man. I'm a part of a new show. I want to invite you guys, bro. You guys are able to make it. Just look for Jose Camacho Boxing Talk, bro. It should come out, bro. It's a new show, man. I would like to invite you guys to the MXBC and look at the experience, bro, of the MXBC, man. The Mexican boxing community. L Dog is invited. He's a naturalized citizen. He has his green card, bro. Intangible. He's a true Mexican by heart. And we got IBT, an original OG essay, bro. Original Mexican, bro. So shout out to y'all, man.
Hey, but I
Shout,
gotta
shout
say,
out to Oak Cliff, bro.
I'm a true
shout out,
Aztec warrior, bro. I'm a true
shout out to
Aztec
Oak
warrior.
Cliff. Shout out to Mexico, man. Filip Pogovic conquered Mexico when he fought on the Estrada undercard. He is the best Mexican heavyweight now. He conquered them. So I'm a proud,
factual.
proud Mexican now.
Yeah, man. And shout out to Rob, bro. I'm out. Peace, man.
Peace.
All right, salute.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, man, I'm sure El Jefe's still listening to this, but look, man, I'm a huge fan of Texas rap, bro. Ghetto Boys is the best rap group in the game.
But the only reason I know who Yella Beezy is because when I googled Oak Cliff, it just came up with Yella Beezy.
Yo, he actually led Errol Spence out of the tunnel a couple times.
What?
He's let Errol
Yeah,
like during the walkout.
yeah. He let him out
Oh.
during the Mikey Garcia fight. He let him out during the Porter fight, and he let him out during the Ocampo fight.
Hey, bro, he
couldn't
got
make
to
it
do
to
a
the
Hergovich
UK
fight,
for the
bro.
Kilbrook fight, bruh, but it's okay.
I've always been saying if Lomachenko fights Davis, he should just walk into Lil Baby or something.
I feel like he should walk in with a funeral parlor, just like the music, set the ambiance for what will happen. in this
But
fight.
actually, I gotta check you guys on something real quick. You guys were saying that the only fighter you see beating Canelo is Bivol. I'm gonna tell you this: Beterbiev would murder Canelo. He's
I don't
stronger
even
than
know
him.
about that.
He's got way more power than Canelo. He's bro. Listen, we saw what Golovkin could do to Canelo. Beterbiev is bigger and stronger, and
Kovalev
just
is also bigger and stronger.
bro, Kovalev ain't shit compared to Beterbiev. Never
That's
was.
Kovalev
that's
was boxing
hilarious.
from the
That is
outside,
hilarious
though.
you say that because Kovalev was boxing on the outside, but I don't know. Do you remember when Beterbiev turned down both the
Turned it down.
Kovalev fight and Joe Smith Jr. fight because they were too dangerous?
Bro, I do remember Beterbiev beat Kovalev's ass in the
But
amateurs.
what about the professionals? I'm talking about the professionals where they go more than 3 rounds.
Bro, I'm telling you this: if that fight ever happens, and Canelo doesn't use his usual performance-enhancing contracts, then Beterbiev will eat him alive, bro. Beterbiev is a different beast. Canelo doesn't have the movement to fuck with Beterbiev, bro. He'll have to stand there and fight Beterbiev. And bro, Beterbiev would eat Canelo's punches like they're nothing and just break him, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna be
can
honest,
understand that. I just think Canelo would be definitely
dude.
competitive in that
This
fight.
guy was able to walk down Vosdik. Vosdik
Yeah,
punches way harder than Canelo.
yeah, but I mean, Volchik was kind of scared in that fight. Like he gassed out after about 5 rounds. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody besides Floyd Mayweather actually beat Canelo inside the pocket.
But Beterbiev is so strong, bro. He'll wear him down. Like that's the thing. Canelo will not take that fight unless he can use like some catch weight, rehydration clause, steroids, whatever, you know. But Beterbiev would honestly destroy Canelo. That's a fight I could be 100% certain on. Absolute destruction inside 8 rounds. Bro, I think you guys just don't understand how hard Beterbiev punches and how good he is technically. Because he's a pressure fighter like Golovkin, but he punches way harder and he's bigger.
Yeah, the one thing that actually is kind of, and I'm not trying to say this in Canelo's favor. I'm just saying like, Artur Beterbiev is not even that big for a light heavyweight. He's
Yeah.
very strong compared to Gennady Golovkin, but he's actually only 5'11", and he was much smaller than his contemporaries in the amateurs. He was smaller than Usyk. I've read sources and I think like Reddit or somewhere like that he would come into amateur fights at about 188, something like that.
Bro, Beterbiev would destroy Kovalev now. Let's just face it. The Kovalev that Canelo, like, I love Kovalev, bro. Kovalev is a savage, but Beterbiev
True.
is even more savage.
They're both factual statements.
I will say though, like you gotta understand, Artur Beterbiev was like 6-0 when this happened. Like during this point, he had just come off a fight against Gabriel Campillo, who was shot, and he won one fight against Divorce Cloud like a year before. You know,
He was 9-0 with. I mean, obviously all stoppages he has that right, but he was the #1 contender for the WBO or IBF. I forget. I think probably
he was
IBF.
no.
Do you think Beterbiev is like? Do you think he's showing his age at all?
That's
No,
my only issue with the fight. I feel like if it doesn't happen tomorrow, if Canelo wins, they'll say he was old.
Because to me, he's actually a pretty young 35-year-old when you think about it, like in boxing years.
He's not
he
a guy
looked
though who really
strong and
relies
fit.
on that sort of young man ability. He doesn't really fight based on his reflexes. He fights based on his strength and timing.
But that's the thing. He's got good fundamentals. He's got a lot of amateur experience. He punches very hard. He's actually, I would say, he's faster than Golovkin. He punches faster than Golovkin, in my opinion, or at least the same speed. But bro, I could see him just destroying Canelo, bro. I hope they make that fight because you know Canelo's got very lucky against a lot of Eastern Europeans, bro. So I
You a
want an Eastern
racist, bro.
European to
You're a
take
racist,
revenge.
bruh. Why are you hating?
Hey, but bro, just like I said, I can't be hating on Mexican fighters because Filip Hrgović conquered Mexico.
And he's now Mexican. He's been awarded the Aztec belt.
That's exactly it, bro. He beat your best heavyweight, man. What's his name? Mario Heredia.
Yeah, the the best heavyweight.
Hey, check BoxRec. He was #1 in Mexico.
That's hilarious.
I would say Tanaka beat the #1 Mexican 108-pounder in Moises Fuentes. Tanaka is a true Aztec Mexican warrior.
That's
Tanaka is
not
a
true
Mayan
though, because
warrior.
heavyweights, we already know that, heavyweights are like the kings of all men. So Hrgović conquered your king, bro. So that's all I
Well,
gotta
what do
say
you
on
mean
that.
you're? I thought you were also a Mexican warrior. I'm confused.
Well, I am now because Hrgović conquered you guys.
Oh, okay.
His Mexican green card was awarded to him after defeating Heredia.
They went, thank you for rooting for Hrgović. Here is your honorary Mexican green card.
And I'm gonna say this because Kat says Canelo has a granite chin. It wouldn't matter against Beterbiev. Beterbiev is that strong. I think he's so much bigger than Canelo as well.
Canelo honestly looks a step slower at 175. I will say, he has a bit more fat around the midsection. I mean, that's to be expected, but he looked more stiff against Kovalev than I usually see. Wasn't as quick on his feet. Isn't typically quick on his feet, anyways, but he just didn't have the same twitch.
Bro, he would actually have a reach advantage over Canelo as well. A height, a reach advantage, a size advantage, plus that natural power. I mean, he's knocking out big 175-pounders, breaking them. Like, there's not a man here.
Unfortunately for him, it's going to mean nothing when he fights Dmitry Bivol.
Bro, he will beat Bivol.
I don't think so, honestly.
I'm
Dmitry
telling you.
Bivol is a guy, he doesn't have any sort of discipline issues inside the ring. Like, he will fight. He will, like, I actually think he stated this in his post-fight interview against Castillo. He said, like, I went to put on scientific boxing for the crowd. Like, that dude does not care. He wants to, he will beat you any way he needs to. And look, Artur Beterbiev, yes, he's on the right side of 35, basically, but I mean, he is a young 35, but still, he's sort of aging a bit. And Dmitry Bivol is a better boxer than Alexander Volosik. Volosik was bigger, yes, but Dmitry Bivol has more amateur experience, is a better all-around fighter, has a better
Wait,
jab.
no,
better
he
footwork,
doesn't have
better
more
timing.
amateur experience than Vosdik. Vosdik had 350 fights and he went to the Olympics, bro.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah. I mean, based on the visuals, he's younger than Volosik, too.
Oh, I didn't realize I was muted. Sorry. I was just calling you out, Intangible, for blatantly lying and double talking SMH.
Hey, hold on. Sporting advantage, bro. I see you around, bro. You said, yeah, no dislike at all. Just don't see it working against some. Are you talking about Beterbiev Canelo? If so, who do you mean? Just don't see it working against some? Because personally, I think Beterbiev's. I just think stylistically, size-wise, is too much for Canelo, man. It's the size, bro. Because Golovkin
Maybe
was able to give him hell, bro. And Beterbiev to me is very similar to Golovkin, but he's just bigger and way stronger.
Maybe it's a response to Katakor's comment saying he has a granite chin. Canelo's countering and defensive skills on another level. Maybe he's saying that the size at this point and skills of Beterbiev or Bivol possibly. I mean, I don't really know the context. Would not allow Canelo's skill set to work effectively. And then he also said that I think Hrgovic getting the nod from the Klitschko was cool. And yeah, Katakor said in response to him, Intangible said he looks a step slower at 175 because he wasn't used to that weight. But if you were to get comfortable, then you got to watch out. Yeah, I do think that's a
but
factor
that
as
only
well.
be a that would only be a
I didn't
second
see
fight at
any like
175
fat.
though.
I didn't see any fat around the midsection. He did look bulkier. I don't think. I mean, I don't want him to put on muscle for that fight, so that's good at least. I just felt like he was more at a natural weight, didn't cut, didn't really rehydrate. Do we know how much Beterbiev and Bivol rehydrate?
Beterbiev rehydrates a lot. I've
A
heard
lot.
as high as 200 pounds.
Oh, okay. So we're asking.
Like he's damn near a heavyweight when he rehydrates because he does carry a lot of muscle.
So we're asking former junior middleweight and current middleweight champion to fight a guy who rehydrates to heavyweight or cruiserweight.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying I think it's
Okay.
ridiculous that people think Canelo would beat him, bro.
Oh, if he does, what does that mean?
Bro, it means that there was some fuckery in the contracts. That's
All
all it
right.
means to me. But hey, Bivol, that's another bad matchup for Canelo, bro. Especially like I need to message Bivol sometime on whatever platform I can get a hold of him and tell him not to go to 168. Because Bivol,
Yeah, no, whenever I
don't
hear
do
him
it,
talking
Bivol.
about
Don't do
Canelo,
it.
I just get upset because I'm like, Beterbiev is right there. Please take the fight that is perfect right now, right? That'd be unification. For every belt that can be fought for at the moment because the WBO is vacant.
I feel
Honestly,
like everybody has
the
those fighters that people think are boring, but they actually really enjoy watching. Dmitry Bivol is actually a fighter I really enjoy watching. Honestly, like most people think he's boring, but the guy is so fluid inside the ring. Like he put on a completely one-sided beatdown on Pascal and Smith, and those are not the best guys ever, but I mean those guys
they're
are
solid, very solid.
Yeah, they're top 10 guys definitely. Look what Pascal has gone on to do since.
I'm just looking at Beevil's because you mentioned amateur, and I was like, maybe I was mistaken, but yeah, I do think Volstick's is better. But I'm
Yeah.
looking in 2008 in the Youth World Championships when Bivol was competing at middleweight in 2008. Like I said, Guadalajara, Mexico, he got bronze medal. So Bivol, he's Mexican because he was conquered, like L Dog said.
Well, he got conquered in his own Mexican place, so he's still Russian. However,
Yeah.
let's look at some
he went to Mexico and then got bronze. So he's Mexican now. That's how it works, right?
Bro,
Actually,
Bivol,
no.
No?
He's actually Hungarian because he got gold in Hungary.
Oh, okay. What if he's both?
Well, that's cool too. One thing I will say about Dmitry Bivol, I don't know about his punch resistance. I believe he's been stopped a few times in the amateurs, although I don't know about that. I can't verify that. But he got rocked really bad by Smith in the end of one of the rounds. And I mean, the fight was a complete one-sided beatdown. I believe it was one of the most one-sided. It was a more one-sided coffee box statistic than Mayweather Gotti. But he got rocked with, it was a temple shot where he just started falling up against the ropes as soon as the bell rang.
Let's not get it twisted, bro.
Smith is a good
Smith is
puncher.
power.
Yeah.
That's why Beterbiev.
Yeah, but
That's why
Artur
he said he
Beterbiev
didn't
is
want
more
that
powerful.
fight.
Bro, but Beterbiev ain't ducking no one, bro. He was able to take Vozdik's power, bro. Vozdik damn near killed him, man.
Well, that may have also affected his performance, but I mean, literally, factually, he called Joe Smith Jr. too dangerous of a matchup at one point because of his power.
I'm gonna say this, man. The language barrier could have played a role in that.
Black and brown boxing states, if you lose to Canelo, you're officially Mexican. Wow.
Yo, that makes sense. I mean, they were saying Triple G was,
Triple G is Mexican. Wow. Yo.
Yeah, Triple G is a
the
real
the,
Mexican
the
style
only
fighter.
place where that kind of falls apart is Canelo did beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So that's the only kind of fallacy there.
Bro,
Yeah.
Chavez
Chavez.
Jr., I don't even know what to say about that guy, man. I hope, Chavez Jr. at one point was actually okay. Like, he was always a
He was a
scumbag that had a.
champion at
He
one point.
beat Andy Lee. That was at least an all right
But
victory.
there was always a lot of corruption around Chavez
Oh,
Jr.
definitely.
Like, that.
Especially the whole
It's.
HBO thing with the WBC.
Yeah. That shit was shameful.
Yeah, and Martinez just came in there and just demolished him. He had a good 12th round, but I mean the rest of the fight was just him just eating jabs.
How mad
Man.
would you guys have been if the referee stopped it in the last round?
I don't think we.
I didn't see it live, and neither did you, L Dog. However, you
Wait,
know,
did I see it live?
you said your first ever fight was Mayweather Canelo.
I thought that fight was around then.
No, it was in September of 2012.
So
Oh,
let
wow.
me show the actual you know.
He looks like a blonde Tom Brady.
Apparently he has a fight lined up.
Yeah, against his drug addiction.
No, he would not. He would duck that fight really hard.
Against his, yeah, actually, I probably shouldn't say that. I'll probably get your stream banned, just like Mark.
That I saw the stream you're talking about. I was so shocked.
Bro, Chavez Jr. is a weirdo.
Well,
Like,
let me search
also,
up. He
bro,
responded to
DAZN
someone
is
saying he had a fight confirmed.
Eddie Hearn. I mean, Eddie
All
Hearn
right, I
and
typed it in
DAZN.
the private chat because if I make those accusations on live, I'll probably get arrested.
Yeah, don't say that.
Eddie Hearn and DAZN have done a horrible job of trying to enter the US market. Like, who thought it was a good idea to spend $10 million on the purses for Chavez versus Jacobs? Come on,
Yeah,
man.
The zone is really silly with how they spend on guys.
Like, and I don't know, man. They want to pay that, but they won't even pay Chocolatito $1 million. Like, come on.
Yo, confirmed by Chavez Jr. himself, he will be returning on October 17th in Mexico. Opponent and fight details to be announced. Let's go.
That's cool. He should fight Adrian Broner. I mean, I'd assume they're probably around the same weight, about 200 pounds.
Well, no, we just saw him right there. He's, very petite and in shape.
But
I
I'm
don't
gonna
even
say
think
this.
that's
This is
actually
gonna
Chavez
piss off
Jr.
a lot of people.
I've seen pictures of the real Chavez Jr. That I honestly don't believe it's him. I think that they've cloned Chavez Jr. like multiple times, and I honestly don't even believe he's Julio Cesar Chavez's actual son. I really don't.
I do. They have a lot in common, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm
I
gonna say
honestly,
Chavez Senior. I never got all the hype behind him.
Why not?
I watched his fights, and every fight I've watched, he got his ass whooped in. Like,
Okay.
Meldrick Taylor was piecing him up. Pernell Whitaker destroyed him and comprehensively outboxed him.
How did Meldrick Taylor do?
Look, Meldrick Taylor, I think that fight should have been kept going, bro. But Meldrick Taylor, in my opinion, every round leading up to that, I thought Meldrick Taylor was just piecing him up.
May I ask you a question? Do
Go.
you think Meldrick Taylor was ever the same?
No, because I think the
Okay.
fact he was robbed was so emotionally crushing he gave up.
All right, dude.
But
Yeah.
hey, all I gotta say is one of my heroes. Shout out to Costa Zoo, man. Costa Zoo defeated a prime Julio Cesar Chavez.
Prime.
Bro,
in his prime,
he was in his prime, in my opinion. So
Thunder from Down Under, a true Slavic and Australian warrior.
that's a fact, bro. Costa Zoo was that guy.
A Mexican warrior.
I might rewatch that fight tonight, even, bro. Chavez, bro, that's one of my favorite fights to watch. Chavez versus Costa Zoo.
Yo, what did Chavez do to you, dude?
I don't know, man. Chavez, I just don't see it, bro. Tough guy, but he's
Like, if the only
benefited
fights
from a
you've
lot of.
watched are Taylor and Pernell Whitaker, you're watching fights close to near the end of his prime. I mean, well, the Whitaker fight was at 147, not really in his prime. He was, of course, undefeated, but I mean, he had already gone through wars. Like, watch the Rosario fight, watch the first Roger Mayweather fight, watch the Hector Camacho fight if you want to see some of his better performances, because really after the first Meldrick Taylor fight, he was never the same.
I also watched the Rocky Lockridge fight. No, I thought Rocky Lockridge beat him.
I actually haven't seen that fight, but I've heard there's some controversy behind that. Chavez is just really good at cutting the ring off and going to the body. I can't remember when the Rocky Lockridge fight was.
It's just all these fights I've seen of him, man. He got his ass whooped, and I never got the hype.
That's hella funny. But Ayob says, wasn't Chavez Jr. just banned indefinitely for refusing drug tests? Not in Mexico. He was not banned in Mexico, and he said he's returning on October 17th in Mexico. So he's probably gonna fight some random.
He should fight Jorge Paez Jr.
He's just gonna pad his record more.
Bro, he should fight Tim Tszyu.
He should fight Jeff Horn.
Bro, I can't even lie. Jeff Horn versus Tim Tszyu. Once I actually saw, I got to see Tim Tszyu. Sorry, Jeff Horn train, right? Because he used to fight New Zealand on Parker undercards. I got to see him train, and this dude was clinching the heavy bag. Like when he was working the heavy bag, bro. He was clinching the heavy bag, like rubbing his forehead against it and everything, like trying to emulate fucking dirty fighting on the heavy bag. I'm just thinking like, oh gosh.
Yeah, he was.
Sorry.
Yeah, he was fighting a lot like Klitschko.
Well, Klitschko is one of my heroes, so I'll always respect Klitschko.
Yeah, I think that was the joke he was making.
I don't respect Klitschko. I'm serious. Like, look, I respect him. He's an all-time great heavyweight. Watching him fight.
I respect him and then said I respect him.
Well, simultaneously, both at the same time. Look, I understand he's a great heavyweight, but watching him was boxing visual herpes. It was horrible. His fights were all really bad. He didn't have a great fight aside from the Joshua fight, and the Hay fight was okay. The Sultan Ibragimov fight was the worst fight in boxing history.
What a name, bro.
That fight was absolutely amazing.
But I'll tell you this.
That fight, like, it was so weird because that dude Sultan Ibragimov had like his back turned to Klitschko, and he was. I'd have to demonstrate it to show up. My camera's off. I don't. They were like slapping each other's jabs the whole fight. They weren't even parrying. They were just high-fiving each other in the middle of the ring.
Hey, what about Vitaly Klitschko?
Vitaly Klitschko is a beast. I'm not gonna lie. That dude is
victim.
I recently watched his fight against Corey Sanders. He got buzzed early in the fight, but that fight was really entertaining.
I'm gonna ask you guys a question now. If Vladimir Klitschko had the chin and confidence of Vitaly Klitschko, who would he have lost to?
I heard you say this the other
Yeah, I think he'd probably lose because one thing that I feel both Vitaly and Vladimir were missing were an inside game. Like Vitaly was really he had a pretty bad defense on the inside. Although, but same with Vlad. Vlad had to rely on clinching a lot. I still feel somebody who could apply a lot of pressure on him would give him a lot of issues.
I think he would have been. I think that's the greatest heavyweight of all time if you give him the chin
No,
and the
no.
confidence, because Vlad was extremely technically sound. He was one of the hardest punchers of all time. He had good hand speed, good size, everything. But it was always his chin and his confidence that let him down.
I wouldn't even necessarily say that. But I have some
Yeah,
great footage here
it
of.
is though. I mean, Vladimir's chin was horrendous. I've never seen, until the AJ fight, of course, I've never seen Vlad take a shot well, ever. Like, he does not take clean punches well. Like, I saw in the Sam Peter fight, he didn't even get hit with clean shots, but he would just fall down because he was so scared of what was coming next.
You're really quick when you said Jeff Horn thing. This reminded me of this amazing video by Hidden Gem. Tim Bradley had the most feared weapon in boxing, and if you just want to see the training regimen of Timothy Bradley, it shows you why he's an absolute legend, future Hall of Famer. Look at this stuff. His work on the bags was incredible. Yeah, when I first saw this, I remember just cracking up. That's one of my favorite videos on YouTube.
I actually love Tim Bradley, man. That guy was a warrior.
Yeah, Tim Bradley was really entertaining.
I just didn't get the nickname.
Desert Storm.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't get why he has it. Truly,
Well, where's he from?
something like his father served in the military, but that just seems kind of like.
I mean, that'd be a cool nickname for Jamal Herring, but Tim Bradley, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he didn't actually. His father served in the military. It's like, oh, why do they call you Desert Storm? Oh, my second cousin was in the military.
Yeah. Hey, I like war movies, something like that.
I
But
like
Tim Bradley.
Ryan.
Tim Bradley's resume is actually fucking good as well.
It's really good, yeah.
It's an underappreciated resume. But when
You
you
know,
look
guys,
at
I
who
really
he fought,
enjoyed American Sniper when it came out, so that's why my nickname is Sniper.
hey, that's Jose the Sniper Pedraza. What a bro! What are the best and worst nicknames in boxing?
That's actually a pretty solid nickname.
We've done best before, but I can't think of like some just real bad
I'll
ones.
say the ones
I've never been a big fan of Babyface Assassin. I don't really get it.
I'll say the ones I don't find cool. Anthony AJ Joshua, like that's
Well,
just not cool to me. Like AJ.
It's not supposed to be like a menacing. It's just literally a nickname.
You know what is a
Some
cool?
of my favorites: Cool Hand Luke. Do you guys get the reference? Cool Hand Luke.
No, I don't get that one either. I know Steve Fulton, isn't he also Cool Hands or something?
No, he's
No,
Cool Boy
Cool
Steph.
Boy Steph.
Cool Boy Steph. Yeah, there it is. I don't get. I mean, that sounds.
Cool Hand Luke was a movie. Like yeah. Pretty sure Cool Boy Luke was also like a real life gangster or something.
Cool Hand Luke is a drama crime movie from 1967.
Yeah.
Yo, you guys want to know what Fritzy Zivic's nickname is? Because he had a cool
The
one. It
Croat
was
Comet. That's awesome, bro. That's not as good as kickboxing legend Branko Sikatic, whose nickname was the Croatian Tiger. That shit to me is just awesome. But also the best, I think, Vasil High Tech Lomachenko. I think that's actually a pretty cool nickname for him.
Called
Yeah,
the
it is.
Cobra Crotch. Aobs mentioned that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
Pac-Man. Pac-Man is also a real good nickname.
Pretty Boy Floyd.
Pretty Boy Floyd
Pretty
is cool.
Boy Adrian Broner. Facts.
Because I'm pretty sure Pretty Boy Floyd was an actual bank robber, which makes a lot of
it was.
sense when you think about like
It makes a
Floyd
lot of
robbing
sense.
the bank every fight. That's a great nickname. I also like
I like Second
know,
to None. I like that one a lot. It's real creative.
that's actually a cool nickname as well. Trying to think who else is
Lights Out Tony is one of the greatest ever. Because it fits him so perfectly.
I like Alexander the Cat Usyk. It's kind of a funny nickname because the dude looks like a total psychopath.
I didn't know that wasn't like an actual nickname. That's really
Dude,
good.
who actually calls him the cat though?
Yeah, I've literally never heard that.
That's like his nickname. That's what everyone calls him pretty much. Like, well, I guess the Ukrainians call him that.
You guys
Cat.
are really missing one. TGE for Ali Ramey.
Yeah.
TGE.
Mr. Gary Russell's a kind of stupid nickname, to be honest.
Trash. That guy's a butt. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, what's Zhu Khan's nickname? Because I'm pretty sure he added something like I, so it's like Zhu I Can.
That's funny. His is Monster, apparently.
Yo, what is your guys' opinion on Sir George Groves?
Sir,
Bro, don't ever hate on George Groves. That's one of my favorite boxers of all time.
that would explain why you hate Callum Smith then.
I love George Groves, man. Like I remember when I used to train, that my coach told me, he said, watch George Groves. So I watched George Groves, and he said George Groves is a damn good fighter.
Watch
He really
him
was
down
before the Carl Froch
spectacularly
fight.
by Carl the Cobra Froch in front of
But he was extremely young when he fought him, bro. Like
900,000 people in Wembley Stadium.
I heard it was 900 million.
Yeah.
Wayne Hangman Yothin actually set the all-time attendance record in boxing history. I can't remember what it was. I think it was the Melvin Jerusalem fight, but in that fight he did over 800,000 in attendance, which surpasses Julio Cesar Chavez's record by approximately. I mean, it minimizes it to a sixth of his record. Wayne Hangman Yothin is the greatest draw in boxing history.
Facts. Nothing but facts being presented.
Think about it,
Bro,
though.
George Groves is only 32 years old right now. What the fuck?
And he's already shot. Imagine.
Dude,
Well, he did. Let's face it, though.
He lost
He
it
went
early.
through a lot of wars, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Eubank Jr. fight, Badu Jack, the two Froch fights, the James DeGale fight, the Callum Smith. Those were all tough fights, man.
what do you guys think Floyd Mayweather's attendance would have been at Wembley Stadium had he fought Kell Brook in his last fight?
It would have sold out.
Yeah, yeah.
Floyd was an international attraction when he was boxing. Plus, it would have been for Undisputed. That fight would have been huge. Two undefeated fighters, Undisputed on the line. Floyd Mayweather, the biggest star in boxing at the time. And Kell Brook, who was, he had a lot of momentum.
I barely even knew how to walk by the time Floyd Mayweather fought Ricky Hatton. But I think that was the fight that actually made him that international superstar. I feel like the Oscar De La Hoya fight made him a national superstar, but
It made him a pay-per-view star. It made him the A-side to a lot of future fights.
Yeah, the Ricky Hatton
Every
fight
future
made
fight.
him a crossover star.
Yeah, so I mean, those I actually think Philip El Animal Hrgovic is another cool nickname. The Animal. Oh, Ivan the Beast Baranchik. That nickname suits him.
That sounds like it rolls off the tongue well. I've never
I
understood
also
why
really
Callum
like Errol the Truth Spence. That's a good nickname.
It's good. I don't know. I don't really hear it a lot though. The ones I don't hear at all are the Charlo brothers. Their nicknames don't. It's
Hitman, I know Hitman.
and
Future of boxing.
no, that's like their Twitter name or something.
That's Jamal.
Jermel's is Iron Man. That's what it was.
Hey,
Literally
Jason
name
Banana
one
Man
fight
Rosario. It's Banana Man versus Iron Man.
I like that. I never
Hey.
understood Callum Mundo Smith. I don't get it.
Ah,
And then
bro.
yeah,
I'll give
Lara. Here's Landy Lara is the American Dream. That's his nickname.
Because he traveled from
Oh,
Cuba.
that's
Yeah,
another cool. That's another cool nickname,
Yeah,
Guillermo
good.
Al Chacal
wow.
Rigondao, or however you pronounce it. I can't pronounce Spanish shit, so
Why not? I thought you were Mexican, bruh.
bro, like Guillermo the Jackal Rigondao. That's a dope nickname.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Dude, Carl Frampton really disgraces his nickname by calling himself the Jackal. Like, you can't just avoid that fight for 3 years and yet still call yourself the same, like, Hound.
El Chacal. That's what it is.
I'll say this: Rigondeaux's story in boxing is one of the most tragic of recent memory. When you consider the shit he went through in Cuba,
Just
getting to the United States, having to sell his Olympic gold medals, leave his family behind, just to be ducked by almost everyone, and then having to be dragged up in weight. Like, if he got the best fights in his when he was after he beat Donaire, if Leo, Frampton, and Quiggle stepped up to face him, he would have beat them all, and I think he would have solidified himself as a Hall of Famer.
yeah, that's really his story is legitimately unfortunate. Who was he handled by again?
Some Irish promoter.
Dude, yeah, and he was like transitioning from promoter to promoter. Bob
Gotcha.
Arum was like, I think it was after their Nonito Donaire fight or the Igbeko fight. The Igbeko fight was legitimately a boring fight, but he completely outclassed him, won every round clearly. But Bob Arum openly stated, we don't want this guy on our stable. I mean, this guy is a disgrace.
Yeah, he's Bob Arum is garbage. His fight with Hisashi Amagasa in Japan.
Amagasa.
That's what I said, man. In Osaka, that one was a good one. I remember um Rigondeaux actually got dropped because he was goofing around, and then he had to turn it up after. That was actually entertaining after he got dropped. Kind of showed you what kind of fights he could have, but alas, he never got the big ones. So
Bro, he would have stopped Leo. Guillermo could punch, bro. He had fucking salt. He had really good power.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. As much as I like Rigo, watching Loma beat him after the people like that were against Loma talked all that shit, it was kind of satisfying. I'm not gonna lie.
This might surprise people, but I was actually rooting for Rigondeaux to win that fight. And even though I really like Vasil, I just felt that from all the fuckery that Rigondeaux went through, I just wanted him to have like another moment. But I suppose that Donaire win is still a damn good win. He humiliated Nonito.
yeah, I think he hurt him too early, and he just kind of like he must have felt that he could just chop his head off, and he came in with a poor game plan after that. But
Yeah,
Rigondeaux
but
did
the thing is
excellent
though,
there.
I mean, Donaire is a rhythm sort of a puncher. He's a timing fighter. With Rigo's almost excessive movement, it's Donaire cannot set his feet.
Yeah, yeah,
One
exactly.
thing that Rigo is taught because of the amateur system is if you're up in a fight, which he did against Ricardo Cordoba on the undercard of Pacquiao Margarito. I've actually watched that fight recently. The whole amateur system. Let's say you're up like 12-4 after 2 rounds. What your trainer will tell you before the third is just run. You have
Yeah,
the fight in the
yeah,
bag.
really.
No need to risk anything. Just run around. And he took that into the pros, and it just didn't cross over.
Yeah. I know, especially in the Cuban schools, because the way they train, and this goes to even the other sports, like wrestling, especially since these are two more physical sports, but it's almost like a triangle, and the better you do, the higher you go up. Sorry, like a pyramid. The higher you go up the pyramid, with the better you do, you get more food, stuff like that, more resources, more money. So it's in your best interest when you're winning by a margin or even winning slightly to just hold on to that lead instead of actually pushing for um more points or
Yeah, I mean, let's say you're
average
in a
scores.
basketball
Wait,
game.
hold up. Because what happens is because it's highly competitive, you actually have the other guys from Cuba as well watching you. So in case you do have to go, train with each other, go against each other, you don't want people finding out your tricks or kind of like the things that you know, your weaknesses, your habits, and stuff like that. So it's always been recommended that they just do the bare minimum that they can to win, which does not transfer to the pros.
Yeah, but it makes sense. I mean, let's say you're in a basketball game and you're up 120-105 with 3 minutes. Well, not what. Let's say 95. You don't leave your starters in. You put your backups in. And you don't risk any injuries. It's just better to do so. It's just a safer option. And also, the Cuban school of boxing has such high expectations. Like Luis Ortiz, who most people generally assume had a great amateur career because he had a lot of experience. was actually a pretty average amateur as far as the Cuban school goes. And a lot of Cuban amateurs who would probably be boxing champions today had they continued their career are working at some pastry shop somewhere in Cuba.
Yeah,
That's true.
Luis
I th-
Ortiz had a relatively average amateur career. He didn't make the Olympic team, and I don't believe he won any big tournaments or competitions except some group event for Cuba. So we had other people's points, and it was just like a different system. I forget
he
what
was
it's
a
called.
Pan American Games gold medalist. That's his biggest achievement. But what I will say is, one of the reasons I think Cubans fail in the pros is simply because they burn out. I mean, they're so dirt poor when they're in Cuba that when they get out and they get like in boxing, a $200,000 payday is not really all that much, but to them, it's a completely different life. I think they almost lose motivation when they get to that level
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree with
that
that.
makes sense.
because to them, they've already made it. You know, that's the thing.
I feel like
They
that's
just
part of the reason Gervonta
but
Davis is the way he is now, because he got rushed into sort of that rich lifestyle so quickly after being like, if you know Baltimore, you know that it has one of the roughest places in America. Like
yeah,
it is
I've heard.
like it is really, really, really rough out there in certain places. Mainly, I think on the west side of it, like it's really rough out there. And Tank Davis was brought into the Mayweather stable and was given everything. You know, he didn't really have to work for too much, and I feel like it would have benefited him to sort of work hard because I think he's not. I feel like there's higher expectations in America in terms of rich and all that kind of stuff. Your wealth.
Being rich in America means being a multimillionaire. Being rich in Cuba means having like an income of 50 grand US a year. That would make you like fucking the richest man on like, you know, one of the richest people anyway.
Yeah, I mean, just look at my Donna. That's not even Cuba. That's Argentina, right? But just kind of in the same thing of
Yeah,
taking American
Yeah,
money
but that
down south. That dude didn't even like he made good money versus Floyd. But if you think about how much like Canelo is paying out now compared to Floyd was in two Floyd fights, he made less than half of what Danny Jacobs made, right? So this dude took that money. He was like, not really feeling motivated. Floyd killed my love for the sport. I'm just gonna go get fat in Argentina and live an absolute rich life. He's just living it up.
Yeah, but the thing is, he made like 7 million if you combine the two purses, and that combines to like around 50 million in Argentina.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
it's probably
Like
why
here,
guys
it's
like
pretty good
Lomachenko
money, and
don't.
over there, it's great money. You know.
It's
Dude,
probably
that
why
guy,
guys.
Marcos Maidana, is a G.
Yeah,
Like, I would love to have that dude's life. I could just be fat in Argentina all day, drinking, eating pizza all day, and just
bro, he's eating
sitting
those
on Twitter.
Argentinian steaks. This man's living life.
Yeah,
Bro, did you see that picture of him at like Pablo Escobar's grave? This dude's a straight gangster, bro.
yeah. If you actually look at some of his fights, like you can see there's a bullet hole on his back.
Yeah,
Like,
that shit's intense. Bro,
like
who are
there's
the most gangster boxers? Like, in my opinion, I'm gonna say Marcos Maidana and Sergey Kovalev, bro. Sergey Kovalev, like, I don't want to say it on stream. I don't think it's that bad, but does anyone remember when he saw Clarissa Shields and straight up said to her, like, I don't believe women should be in boxing. Their place is in the kitchen or whatever, like, straight up to Clarissa Shields' face. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I remember. I think the fighter he killed in the ring was named Roman Sikamov. Was that his name? But I remember. I think his. I can't even remember. Yeah, but basically his family was complaining that Sergey Kovalev was not compassionate about killing the guy. Like he didn't care.
I'm pretty sure Kovalev actually like donated his entire purses for a couple fights to the family.
Yeah, but I mean that he has to kind of do that
But
Yeah.
bro,
in order to
Kovalev
revive his image.
Kovalev went onto an aircraft, bro, and like he saw some chick he found attractive. and he offered her money to have sex with him on the plane. And when she wouldn't do it, bro, apparently he just took out like wads of cash and started throwing it at her until he had to be escorted off the plane. Like, Kovalev is a fucking maniac, dude.
Yeah,
Dude, that's what I call aggressive simping.
he
Bro,
should,
Kovalev
There is
ain't
no
no simp,
passiveness.
bro.
There is no passive aggressiveness. I mean, his simping is just being taken next level.
Dude, apparently he beat up some woman's dog. Like, holy- this dude is seriously like,
he's
he-
demented.
yeah,
Dude, he and
this
Carlos Monzon are just they are the upper echelon of OGs in the
You're
boxing.
just describing
Same with
crazy
Danny
people and calling them OGs. Like,
well, I mean, he's not as bad as
Valero.
Carlos.
Edwin Valero is an OG because he killed people now.
Nah, but we're talking about like gangsters, right? Like they got to be bad people, but you know they also got to be like badasses as well. You know, like
Yeah,
What's
I
badass
I
about
think
getting
Stanley Ketchel
rejected
also.
with
bro,
money? You offered
I'll
so
tell
much
you what's
money and they still rejected you?
I'll tell you what's badass about Kovalev. He punked Conor McGregor. Conor looked shook as hell when he was talking to Kovalev, bro.
Dude, I think another person who really fits that sort of gangster motto, Stanley Ketchel, because I might be misinterpreting the story, and if I am, it may just change my entire view on this in total. But I think the story of how he got killed was he was banging this dude's wife at a farm, and the guy caught him and then shot him in the face.
Holy shit. But bro,
And
Kovalev is a straight savage, man. Who remembers when he made the duck noises to Adonis?
dude, Kovalev's an emotionless robot. Like that dude doesn't care.
Yeah, man. Kovalev, from what I know, after that Ward fight, he just went downhill mentally real bad. Like
Yeah, because he has
really.
so much pride in himself.
Like I think it's no secret Kovalev is like a a racist guy. I think that loss really just fucked with him mentally.
Yeah, yeah. I would
Like,
say so. A lot of that aspect, especially when you're so dominant, it you know, when you
and I thought
lose.
Kovalev won, bro.
Well, yeah, but the official decision, whatever that is, right, that affects you mentally. Not everyone, but it affected him mentally clearly, and he just I don't know. I don't think he's ever been a good loser. I can't think of a single time where he looks bad or lost and he was humble about it.
That's part of his sort of gangster mentality. He has sort of like a bully mentality. You know, he's not a guy who's going to handle losing very well. He's not going to handle that type of damage to his pride.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's why I feel a lot of the excuses come afterwards, just because he almost wants to justify to others and mostly himself why he came up short.
Bro, for all the trash that Fred Hawthorne Barbershop has talked about Kovalev, I hope he runs into Kovalev on a bad day one day, bro.
I hope he's going to run into Kovalev when Kovalev is just shit-faced drunk on Hennessy. And then Kovalev...
Hey, Kovalev drinks vodka, bro.
Both, I don't know. He may have a
Kovalev-
ton of different stuff in his system.
Man, I hope he runs into Kovalev when the dude at the liquor store says, "Nah, we out of vodka, bro." I hope he runs into him on that day. Then Kovalev is just gonna explode, bro. But yeah, Kovalev is like he's one of the bad guys in boxing. He fits like the big bad Eastern European kind of stereotype. You know, he literally killed a man in the ring. We know he's got up to shit outside of the ring. He's got the typical accent. He's got the typical first name, Sergey. You know, like he's the big bad like Russian gangster.
Yeah. Man, Kovalev... Who else is... Oh, yeah, Abe Attell is a great gangster because Abe Attell not only... I mean, this dude paid off a bunch of players on the Chicago White Sox to basically just throw the World Series. He paid them $8,000 each, was able to convince the court that it was just another guy named Abe Attell who had connections with himself.
Sorry, that is hilarious. That is, oh my god, he just paid off a whole team, and he's like, "Nah, it wasn't me. It was another guy with the same name."
Dude,
Bro,
I'm not even kidding. And he had connections with that same gangster. His name was Abe Rothstein, I believe that's his name. And he was able to convince the court before he was able to be put on trial that it was another guy named Abe Attell who also had connections with the same gangster. It was just a coincidence all along.
bro,
That is
how gangster is this though, bro? So Sergey Kovalev, you know that story about the chick who apparently beat up her and her dog? So this is what it says on Wikipedia. Kovalev was arraigned on April, well, I don't know what that word is, but whatever, April 19th, 2019, and was due back in court for a pre-trial hearing on May 21st, 2019. However, he didn't show up.
what?
This dude's not even turning
on
up to
earth?
court.
Dude, yo, I don't know why, but the image of Kovalev just beating up a dog.
Why?
It's
No, that's
funny to me.
terrible. That's awful.
Look, I'm really sick in the head. I have serious mental issues, and I have a dog myself. I should be compassionate, but I don't know why. The image of him walking up to a dog and just trying to kick it against the wall. I have no idea. It's
I
huge.
think Kovalev has the skills to outbox the dog, but he's gonna have to watch out if the dog tries to bite him to the body because that's where he's vulnerable.
Bro, how's this? He was ordered. This is a different case, bro. He was ordered to pay 650,000, but he breached the agreement by not making the payments. Like, dude, this guy just
Yeah.
doesn't give a fuck. I
What-
suppose it's because he's Russian. He can just stay in Russia, and they won't
won't go through
extradite
him.
him or
This
anything.
guy is a true model citizen. I mean, misses court dates, completely abandons his legal issues, beats up animals, beats up girls, it cheats on his girl, is a racist. I mean, just the whole package.
I'm trying to think what else. Apparently, he was in the military for Russia.
Killed somebody.
Right, bro.
Murderer.
Kovalev. That should be his new nickname, Sergey the Killer Kovalev.
No, I
Well, I
think he's
mean,
not gonna
he
be
didn't
killing
murder
anything.
somebody. It killed somebody. I mean, murder would be unlawful, but I mean,
The manslaughter.
Bro, I'm telling you, the guy is a scumbag, bro. The guy is just like a. Yeah, they tried. That's always funny, Aobs. They tried to paint him as like They tried to paint him as like a family man, and then it just all came out. But anyway, guys, I'ma hop off, man.
Yeah,
Good talking to you.
I'm gonna close it off. So, do your
Sergey
final.
Kovalev is a real gangster, bro.
All right. And Tangible, what are your final thoughts, man?
yeah, I'm kind of glad we covered the topics we did, and you know, also we had a great talk. The final about hour or so. It was good talking to L Dog and you. Thank you very much for having me on the panel. Another great stream. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you another day.
Yeah, see you, man. Yeah, so I think that about wraps it up for this one. We spoke about Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia, our thoughts on that. What we think of Danny Garcia, what we think of Errol Spence going into this fight coming off the action. We also talked about how we don't really feel that the Crawford Pacquiao talk is genuine. We don't really know what Crawford can do for his next fight because he has issues with Top Rank. COVID-19 doesn't allow any crowd, so the pay will be lower. Combined with the fact that his pool of opponents was already lower to begin with, and we briefly spoke about Canelo Alvarez versus the 175 champs and a little bit against Callum Smith. I feel like against the 160 champs, those would be good fights, especially a trilogy with Triple G would be good for his legacy as well as a big money fight. As for the champions at 168, I feel like Callum Smith is a good fight as well, but I do feel Canelo wins convincingly. At the moment, I don't see anyone at the 160 or 168 division who can beat him. And at 175, I think he loses to either Beterbiev or Bivol, but I'm not quite sure on which one yet. I think he offers his own issues for both of those guys. So we're just going to have to see as this develops with him and his opponents. moving forward, especially during COVID. I know he wants to fight in September, but it's been difficult to find an opponent due to the, like I said, financial limitations due to COVID-19 lack of crowds. But hopefully we get some news soon, and I'll update you guys on that if I do find out anything. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Salute. Appreciate everyone who stopped by. We have I Buy Houses, Lisa Bales, AOBS. Earlier we saw um, Champ Ross, Catacor. Let me go back up a little further. Black and Brown Boxing, Soccer Training Club. Who else? Sporting Advantage. He was here. Monte Carlo El Jefe stopped by briefly to talk about his things on the panel he wanted to talk about. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming. And this has been IBT. I'm